Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a very great day because we are here with one of the last weeks when it comes to GGNA to bring you another broadcast live. We have Solar Flare versus Washed Gamers, obviously, two teams that have so far been consistent to a high degree, but either way, let's get into who will be broadcasting. I am user Intel, your play-by-play caster here, joined by Mr. Joe Razor. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You didn't include the underscore, which is a plus, so I'm feeling even better.
Yep, had to start this off with a bit of positivity in your end. But we're rocking with some pretty top tier teams right now in the rookie division. Both of them so far kind of ending the series with a 5-1, and we're very close into playoffs, meaning that both of these teams most likely are going to make it, but only one of these teams are going to enter 6-1 rather than 5-2.
Yeah, both teams are 501 coming into this week, both getting wins in their last out, and Silva had a really dominant 3 win that was on stream. You can find the VOD if you wish, and it looked very dominant, and I'm excited to see if they can continue that because getting a 6-1 record here, I mean, that essentially just puts them as one of the top seeds heading into playoffs. Which I mean, everybody wants. They're already ranked number 3. And getting a win here today for Solar Flare could push them into that kind of upper echelon. Same thing for Washed Gamers, who are one spot behind them there, ranked number 4 in rookie. And whichever team wins today will have a big advantage heading into playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to be able to be adaptable and kind of work things out, especially with the rosters that the both of these teams are going with. It's going to be pretty much the bread and butter, what we're used to. Obviously, not going to be seeing Joe Mama being played, but I think this is pretty much the kind of token roster of how these teams feel.
Yeah, from what we've seen at each team, this is kind of the rosters that I like to rock with. Definitely some really good players. Last time we saw Solar Flare out, big star on their team was Tick Totem, just kind of honestly had some really massive plays there on kind of whatever hero he was on. He played some Pharah, played some Tracer, and whatever he was on, put in some great work. And then you look at their support line as well. We saw Swirls Barkley, which is one of my favorite names. Uh, do a lot of work there on that flex support role, and I'm definitely excited to see if he can continue to put in some good work. And on the other side, same thing that we have seen from Wash Gamers in the past. They have a couple of standouts. I think Gizmo is a pretty good tank player, so I'm definitely excited to see if they can continue their good work there.
I think that's also going to kind of play a big factor, mostly in the tank play area, because our first map is going to be Lijiang Tower, which is by far the most popular of all maps when it comes to control. But I think this map pretty much is a tank v tank type of scenario.
Yeah, definitely. Lijiang Tower. It used to be a lot more diverse than it is now. With the compositions that got played. I mean, Control Center, you almost always see a brawl comp, right? The kind of a Symmetra junk gets a lot of play. When it's not that, it tends to be a Symmetra May. And then you move forward onto a map like Garden, which is it used to be very 6-man heavy. It switched more towards brawl comps as those have gained steam, and so that's kind of probably the most open map because then when you move on to Night Market, you see a lot of once again the Symmetra brawl.
Definitely would have to say I agree because I think right now, at least especially within the rookie division, Brawl is the bread and butter. It just feels really nice to play. Although we have been seeing a lot more of what some people like to call Shadow Dive, Goth Dive, the Winston with the
Goth
Sombra
dive.
Dive.
Wait, say goth dive,
Yes, Goth Dive.
bro.
Listen, there are people out there. I
I
was in a
don't think
broadcast one
there
time.
are.
There is a broadcaster out there who I have casted with, and he has called them goth dive rather than
Goth.
anything. And I mean, hey, Sombra's there. I think she goes with more the techno type of aesthetic rather than anything. But you're more than welcome to have your own interpretations, even with the Overwatch 2 leaning into more of a techno type of thing. But either way, we're more than wrong, especially when it comes to starting out in the map. We've got some differences and we got some change because it seems that we are going to be starting in on Oasis, which does kind of change things up. I feel this is more of a team synergy map rather than kind of Legion Tower where it is a more feel of a tank v tank.
Yeah, Oasis. It's definitely, uh, especially here on this first point. I always hear apology, but this point here, there's a lot of kind of split comps that take surprisingly a lot of coordination for how split they play, right? You'll kind of
Ready for
you'll
battle.
either see six man like these teams want to run, which is not a split comp, or see a lot of kind of either more traditional time or even kind of ball comps on here, which are very split in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of interesting just to see the fact these teams and what they're kind of playing on. We're on the very specific one where uh I always forget what it's called
We'll
because as a
figure this out.
caster I have never memorized any of the control maps, and that is every caster's biggest embarrassment. I definitely would have to say, but
I've
more important.
memorized them all except Oasis. Quite
Yeah, I
tragic.
gotta agree. But it's interesting to see they have very similar compositions, but fundamentally, I think the way that you play them are very different, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Uh, if Flush gamers decide to run out on a Doomfist, I think that drastically changes how that comp plays. Um, you currently see Symmetra for solo play. Of course, the stream gets it, but they're currently hovering a Symmetra in the spot you normally see either a Tracer, an Echo, or a Reaper. They will swap off into whatever hero they choose comes out.
Yeah, I gotta say, you gotta feel more happy and lucky that the experimental patches, we're not playing on that right now,
Five,
because we did
4,
just get
3,
not only a
2,
change to the
1.
Cowboy's name, but
Round
the fact that the
1.
Cowboy
Capture
can
the
rotate or roll
objective.
mid-air. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. He's gonna hit you with water style, but moving out, it's gonna be interesting. We're seeing them both rock the shadow dive with this Sombra, being able to kind of move playing on towards the high ground. It is gonna be a slow start as both teams just kind of have an understanding and sense of where they're going to be, but Solar Flare have control over the point, while Watch Gamers will have control over the more advantaged spot. They can set up with any way that they want to take, but with the hack going on to Pillar Man, they are going to kind of struggle to have to go in for that kill. Now this is one big brawl by releasing that hack hit onto Spicy. Now they lose that Creeper. They have the disadvantage on the Solar Flare. Watch Gamers are going to be able to push forward as they're already putting an immense amount of damage onto Normal, taking them out, and now going in for these stagger kicks, especially with the hack onto Gizmo. There's just nothing inside of Solar Flare besides from reset.
Yeah, you really like that fight.
Securing the objective. Anyone want to join me?
Solar Flare. You managed to Solar Flare's on there. The name
Hey there.
But, yeah, Solar Flare got a really nice engage to start that off, and really taking control of this high ground. And it can be really hard to force them off. And so while Solar Flare had to come to Solar Flare, they did it really well. But EMP's on both sides now. Whichever team can get off the more effective EMP probably wins the fight, as there's nothing really to counter it other than the coalescence close to Starless 7.
Entirely incredible. We're already seeing Lab popping out, managing to hit a 5 and stop those who had ultimates that could have ended this fight. They're now moving in, being able to take out 3 of the majority and tank and support. Now the rest of the side of the Watch Gamers is going to feel a little bit upset that they weren't the first to engage.
Yeah, Watch Gamers tried to play once again this more passive angle on this high ground, and this time it kind of lost them the fight there. You saw a really aggressive play from side of Watch Gamer, and Solar Flare kind of sat on the high ground. As soon as they dropped onto the point to try to contest it, the EMP came and hit nearly the entire team. But the ult economy has kind of swung in favor of Watch Gamers here. They're going to be close to all 6 of their ultimates. Solar Flare will be kind of building up to 4 ults as the spike goes on, but Watch Gamers have a big ult advantage at the very start.
More interested to see how they want to use them. Already, Pillar's able to hit a 6-man and shut them all down. Combined with Coalescence, they're able to increase their aggression. Though this Sound Barrier does manage to save everyone but Spicy, they are going to be setting up for this Death Blossom. That group is going to be able to save the majority and all of them, as we see Solar Flare being able to sustain themselves and push forward, taking out the support line. Now Watch don't really have anyone to kind of peel in, and with the split onto their Monkey, they're able to take out the Baby Diva and push forward a really good and passive play.
Yeah, Watch Gamers managing to win that the EMP from the side of Solar Flare was really nice to start off the game, the map, but it just didn't really get the follow-up it needed. You saw Pillarbag go down immediately, and there was just nobody really there to follow up with him, so ends up costing him. They still have all of these ultimate stuff, 4 ults still for the side of Solar Flare. Wash Gamers, though, gonna try to defend with the EMP Blossom.
Yeah, I find it very impressive that Lev has built up another EMP, so while this engagement happens out and you dive onto it, the majority of your team is going to be taken out and hit with the Death Blossom. Now you're just unable to do much. You try to use that Sound Barrier just to be able to sustain your team, but your team is already going to be demeched and not being able to use that bomb to regroup. While that Primal Rage from Pyro is going to help kind of displace the rest of Solar Flare, there's not much you can do. You have to re-engage once your Reaper comes back in. You manage to take out the Monkey, and this is where Tick is able to finally start using that massive brain, start hitting in the massive amount of damage close to the Moira, but it's more focused on the Diva. We're now in an overtime situation, especially with Normal being able to use that Primal Rage, able to take out Star. That's going to be a bigger issue. They're now without their main healer. They do have the Lucio, but the hack is going to slow them down. It's a big, messy fight, but the EMP, look, that's able to help out. They're now able to kind of focus fire with, especially with the 5. But look at this, Solar Flare are the ones who have the follow-up regardless. They're the ones able to clean up, and now they're going to be able to focus out the rest of the Wash Gamers who have no mech to kind of get back, especially with that bomb taking them out. And look at that, Solar Flare, they're going to take this point, and I've got to say, it was a very impressive hold for them.
Yeah, so names are flipped, so you don't get it. Wash Gamers are on the left. Solar Flare are currently on the right, so it's actually Wash or at that first point. Honestly, Solar Flare just looked like they kind of messed up as, there we go, Solar Flare now correctly labeled, but the follow-up from Solar Flare was just non-existent. I mean, in a lot of those situations, they dropped a couple ultimates to try to engage, and the team just never did. We're going to move forward here onto the next point. This one is, I believe this one is Garden.
Yeah, it's not University, I can promise you that.
This one is Garden.
Yeah,
the last one was City Center.
Yeah, they're playing out with very different compositions. Already the Reinhardt really wants to move forward, but look at that hack. It's absolutely beautiful. It's going to slow them down while the Wrecking Ball Pyro is going to be able to kind of overstay their welcome, able to use that Maywall to kind of easily escape, accidentally kind of saves them. Wash Gamers are looking for someone to brawl onto. They're able to take out Swirl. That was absolutely beautiful, Spicy, and now they're able to headshot the Zenyatta. They have no supports, less damage, and less healing all around. Plus, with that D-Mag, there's really nothing you can do. You can try and stall all you want, but the Brawl is just able to kind of move forward and start to shut you down. The Baby Nina also just wanted to try and do their best, but there's just nothing for the side of Solar Flare to be able to try and stop this push.
The full Cassidy specialist. I don't even know if he is, but Icy Lemon absolutely decimates backline there, all on his load sub, completely just dominating that fight. And now we're gonna see a comp swap here for the side of Solar Flare.
Yeah.
This is a very wacky comp. It looks like a 6-man, but then have a BAP, and they also have a Wrecking Ball. Feels kind of disjointed, honestly.
Yeah, they're playing something very weird. Already, Pyro and Jane are taking an immense amount of damage. We're already to see that D-Mag hit, so without being able to eat that damage, the Wrecking Ball doesn't have much room to push in. That Pulse Bomb does land down onto Normal, but feeling fine, feeling spicy, but speaking of them, they're going to be figured out by Pillar. Though, look at that. That EMP now gives them room. The tank line has no longer the ability to shield. Though the Sound Barrier comes out. And plus, with the Nano, they're able to kind of save their tank line. They're able to push forward and bump in an insane amount of damage. The mines being placed on side of the back of the point. They are going to be able to ignore it. Watch Gamers really don't lose much besides from their mech. But even then, there's a Diva on their enemy side who's coming in D-Mac, and they're just going to be able to reset. Also, an interesting charge being just barely able to hit out onto Pyro. And yet Pyro's able to escape with just minuscule of health.
I mean, a lot of ults with Solar Flare, including that their kind of big ult on that EP. They just weren't able to close it out. The 2 ults used from Watch Gamer support ults were more than enough to win out that fight. So, I mean, when you talk about value for ultimate, Watch Gamers was getting quite a lot. So we're going to see a subtle roll up now for Solar Flare. and I'm gonna be on top though. Roberts is still kind of a weird comp.
Oh, that bomb goes very high, but the D.Va goes right in front of the enemy and gets taken out. Sure, they do find Shote, but still, they're having a major disadvantage as Normal has this shatter. They are brawling and able to trade out, but they immediately get hit. Pyro is now struggling to kind of stay alive as the Baptiste doesn't pop that window early enough, was split, not able to heal, and not getting much value off of it. With the Hanzo being onto the point, they are able to pump in an insane amount of damage, though with Gizmo just kind of popping out like a little rat and eventually being taken out by Pillar. Lucio can only do so much until eventually found out. Looks like the comp switch was just what they needed, especially to build up that EMP for the next fight.
Yeah, the comp swap works pretty well there, and in Brawl mirrors, not in exact mirrors, the comps are pretty different. You kind of ults are very important, especially when you're running a Sombra comp. Your EMP is your biggest win con. They now have that online. They have the Dragon as well, but watch gamers, because they're not running the map, they don't have a lot to really counter an EMP.
It's going to be really hard to kind of get too much value off this Nano because they immediately pop it, but the hack comes in, the EMP shuts down 3, so the rest of the team can't push in, but Normal just denies anything and plays Reinhardt to the fullest, being able to walk in, hit W, the sound barrier, being there solely for the stall, not to really survive much. We even see Pillar go onto the Doomfist to come back. They are being able to pump damage in from the side of Watched Gamers as the Baptiste just doesn't have any type of survivability, though it seems that they are able to kind of live a little longer than you expected. Being at 45%, but Lucio is doing their best. Doomfist now back on some point. Gizmo does have the bomb. He's going to be popping it out at an interesting angle, plus the sound barrier manages to split them up, though they lose Lava, who's coming up on to the Blizzard. They do have this High Noon, able to take out Pillar with the majority of it, and now the rest of Solar are struggling to have their respawn synced in. They do manage to find Normal and Rooney, which are helping kind of bring back in that time bank, but they are still entirely split. This fight is more or less than winning, but more of just capturing the point. Able to bring it up from 70% with only 3 people on their side. Watch Gamers struggling to find the target focus and truly isolated out. Pyro now having the shatter is going to be looking to use it, but gets caught out by the Blizzard. Not going to have an opportunity to be able to truly invest it. The D.Va on the high ground looking there to be able to stop. Watch Gamers now finally having the opportunity to get this isolation, to get this focus fire, even using that bomb. Going to help the D-Mac end off the Lucio and the baby D.Va not having any room to play, forcing this into a one-fight territory and really no respawns for Solarfield to be able to contest back. The Moira just trying to do their best to find anything, but look at this, the Reinhardt's not going to have any opportunity to come back. Had that shatter, could have brought it back, but it seems that Watched Gamers, they're looking a little too clean. They're going to be able to win out on Oasis.
Yeah, Solar Flare, not able to close it out. That first point, they just look like they lack the killer and kind of the finishing blow to win these fights, but on the second point, I mean, Watched Gamers never, I mean, we're kind of just dominating for the first, like, couple minutes. And it's Solar Flare essentially won one fight, yet their percentage go all the way up to 80% based off the fact that they just refuse to die. And that tends to not be the best strategy to win maps. It's just not die and hope your team makes a mistake. The other team makes a mistake, because a lot of the times the teams will kind of play very aggressive and try to close it out. But here we just saw Watch Gamers not really able to close it out on that final point, but Solar Flare never had numbers, right? They never had the players on the point to try to close out fights. And
Yeah,
so you just had this really weird back and forth where both teams had like 3 people alive the whole time. It was very strange.
I definitely have to agree to that sentiment. I think there was a lot of kind of weird ideas coming out from the side of Solar, and especially at that 99%, there's just not much you can do because you're panicking. You're like, we really got to hold it out. And hey, it was impressive. Watch Gamers able to take out this victory, and I'm pretty sure the stats that they had are probably looking absolutely beautiful. You know what I mean? Because look at this. We're already getting comparisons of the D.Va, and Gizmo's value is phenomenal for being on the same hero time to a dot. Not only has less deaths by 6, but look at those eliminations.
Yeah, I think this also speaks to the fact that Washed Gamers were winning a lot of the fights they won, they were a lot more convincing, right? Well, a lot of the fights that Solar Flare run were very back and forth, and they went pretty late a lot of those fights. But the fights that Washed Gamers were winning, they were quick, they were decisive, not a lot of picks going the way of Solar Flare in those situations. And so that's why you're able to see like a lot less deaths, because of course when you win, you die less, and a lot more eliminations as well, but we
It
are moving on to our next map here, and we have a selection. It's gonna be King's Row, so that's where Solar Flare wants to take us. That's where they feel they have the best.
Well, it is kind of very famous for its brawl. It's very fundamental and it's very understandable to why this kind of map is played out. I don't really know who it's truly going to favor. I feel Watched Gamers definitely had a bit more of target focus as they were just able to win out on that aggressive stall in Gardens, and Solar Flare just seemed to kind of struggle when it kind of played against it. So I'm wondering what type of strategy they have, or if they truly are just going to just run out on the brawl and be able to beat it.
Yeah, last time Solar Flare did play King's Row, they did manage to win it. It was decently close, but they still definitely look like the better team. That was last weekend they did play it. They got it picked against them. This time, of course, though, they're so. I'm definitely just expecting brawl probably from both sides. We may see like a bit of wacky zany sitcoms, but most likely we'll just see brawl from both ends.
More than anything, that's truly what you should expect. Kings Row just benefits so much by running out with that bread and butter, and I don't see a reason why you don't. Obviously, in the higher tiers, we definitely see more of Wrecking Ball and Dive being used, essentially, just because they're very good compositions when you know how to play them. I don't, so it's very kind of awesome to be able to see, but when it comes down to these types of scenarios, I like to define them, Kings Row Brawl, I like to define them as May 1v1 simulators.
Yeah, definitely.
Ready for
If
battle.
both teams run May, you see a lot of maps where the May that's able to get more value, put more pressure on the Reinhardt. Their team wins. And currently Solar Flare doesn't have a May, but they have plenty of time to run it. If I remember correctly, they ran a similar comp with this. They ran kind of the Cassidy Sombra comp, or like Cowboy Sombra, with this brawl. They did play mid a Hanzo, but it wasn't a ton. Watch Gamers, on the other hand, though, they're a big fan of this Ana brawl. It's a comp that you see a bit at lower ends, but still, most teams should favor the Baptiste, but Watch Gamers really love this nano build. And we saw it get a ton of value in this opening map, so I'm not opposed to them running.
You know, but it gets value when your Reinhardt has the mentality of just walking in. Truly a god among men.
But the thing was, he wasn't dying a lot either. So that's the thing. Normally you would see more death when you have an aggressive Reinhardt with an Ana, because you don't have insight.
Yeah, definitely true. Now when they're walking in, they're able to get a hack onto Gizmo. It seems that they're prioritizing getting these hacks as their engagement. Though with Spicy picked off, that is a detrimental damage kind of lost out in that fight. They're able to start moving forward, and with Jane being at 80% already, that is high charge. Able to get that first hit, looking for that focus fire. Watch Gamers are no longer kind of staying behind their shield. They're going to be brawled. The sleep comes in. That charge is going to miss and hurt more in the end. Pyro is, though, Anti is going to be taken out, but I really think it's too late at this moment as we see Tick just able to take that out in a beautiful first fight win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I really know. But Tick Totem is really... I've gotten to see a couple of his matches, and this guy is really good. Especially on the Hanzo and Pharah. I mean, this guy can take over games. See it there, 4K, 3 headshot kills to start off the fight. And essentially just won that because he felt
Need healing.
and with that, the ultimate advantage is honestly in favor of Watch Gamers, because Tick Totem was doing all of the Solar Flare's damage. You can see themselves.
Yep, it's going to be really interesting because now they're walking in. They lose Ronnie, so they're not going to have too much to be able to walk in with this Nano. And already they are taking an insane amount of damage. That Shatter gets blocked, but the grab manages to catch them out in an interesting sense. If they walk forward, they're going to get hit. The Blizzard, though, allowing them to not only find out Pyro, but move forward for a tiny bit. But the hack is there onto the Mega Health Pack. Jane's just able to walk in and take out 4. You don't let that happen.
I mean, yeah. 2 fights, 2 big plays from 2 very different players on Solar Flare. We didn't really talk about Jane at all in this opening map, but definitely a serviceable off tank. And you can see right there, the Zarya got a ton of value. Teams tend to favor the Eva brawl instead of the like Ryan Zarya, but here they're favoring the Zarya.
Yep, They're moving forward with the sound barrier. They got hit by that shatter, but they're able to take out Pyro and basically move forward. Though there is an insane amount of damage in from Jane and the sound barrier being able to move forward kind of benefits them a lot. Though Spicy is able to kind of do an amazing job of being able to take out that immortality and allow them to move forward. Watch Gamers being able to stop this steamroll before it became an issue.
Yeah, the sound barrier for Goku, I talked a bit into that fight, but saw that you have to compare Manji to actually miss the Lucio. And so you had Goku's sound barrier just kept Wash Gamers alive for such a long period, and it just kind of gave them a sustainability. And once they got their abilities back, they were able to close out the fight. Gizmo will rematch, so it will be a full 50.
Yep, they'll have an opportunity to retake in the fight. The Mei wall is kind of more of a distraction as it seems the Diva Bomb is there. And Normal gets a charge out onto the Baptiste rather than onto the Reinhardt. So it works out. It trades in favor. But Normal is dangerously low, so they can't move forward. Solar Flare don't have that Baptiste to be able to peel in, so they are at a major disadvantage. But they are still somehow able not only to find out Pyro, who is attempting to retreat, but the Hanzo, who is kind of stuck inside the server room. They are looking like they want to try and find any stagger picks, but they're really just backing up and saving their ultimates.
Yeah, that fight took longer than it needed to for Wash Gamers, which is good because they're on the defense, so you want to burn off time. But that's because of the fact that they had an off with that. And so just not able to get quite as much healing going. But they're coming in to fight big ults for both sides. You're going to have to shatter. As well as the Blizzard.
Yep, they're getting ready to use the Dragons to try to counter out when it comes to the Blizzard. It goes into the grab, able to find two, and with the third, this kind of puts this more into their favor, especially with Pillar's EMP. That's pretty much a team kill.
Yeah, Grav Dragon is it's a good combo. Immortality's not even enough to sustain through it. And like Sound Barrier isn't either. It just does so much damage here. And they're able to close out with that, in addition like EMP. And only ult for them now though is gonna be kind of close to the shatter and sort of close to the sound.
But the shatter manages to find three! And with Pyro gone, you can't move any forward. Look at this, they're able to kind of isolate out, and there is someone on the side of Solar who is split off. It is the Baptiste, and they're going to be found out. I think at this moment, wasting down that time pick is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, what a shatter there from Normal. Takes advantage of Solar Flare and just decimates the opposition to close out that fight. They will have the sound barrier from both sides coming into this engage. I think Spicy on the
Look at this, they're moving in forward. Pyro wants to be able to use that shatter, but the Maywa kind of splits them off, though they are fine. The Dragons managing to do an amazing job of helping take out Normal. The sound barrier maybe trying to save them, although there's not much you can do against that shatter that catches everybody. And now you're just leading out for Solar to be able to eclipse you in a smaller sense. Though I do feel this is scary. Watch Gamers don't really have anyone to touch the point besides from Normal.
Yeah, really nicely done there.
They used the net. They tried, but that grab just shuts them down immediately, and we're going to be seeing Solar Flare able to capture the point with 2 minutes and 4 seconds. A beautiful push. And honestly, I was more kind of curious when it came to that brawl composition, but it seemed it worked very well out.
Yeah, as apparently Gizmo got a 5k funded. But yeah, it's a great work there from the side of Solar Flare. To push all the way through, that's a massive time bank for them. And on their map pick, I'm feeling pretty good if you're Solar Flare. I mean, you choose to go to King's Row. You get a 2-minute time bank running a somewhat untraditional brawl comp, but they made it work to great success there. And I'm interested to see if they continue to run this comp on the defense end. I wonder if Wash Gamers try to make any adaptation.
I can see it really going both any ways. Adaptations are honestly very beneficial solely just because you force the enemy to have to play on their feet, and what are they going to do, try and beat you? No, you just adapt to it, which is what is my favorite part about Overwatch. But it seems that Washed Gamers are basically going to be running fundamentally the same thing, though without a Mei.
Yeah, they're going to run a Hanzo instead of the Mei that they were running. So rocking Diana. On the other side, though, Solarflare are going to move away from this Hanzo Sombra, which they got a decent amount of value with, and they're going to switch over to a traditional brawl. This Cassidy and a May.
Yep, they're already setting up. That May will come down a little too early, and that's going to cost them because it gives Watch Gamers the ability to move forward. Now with that speed boost, they try to take out Jane's mech, but it seems the real hero is going to be Pyro Shield. They have to back up, get rid of that point control, as it's just a small sacrifice as they're waiting for the resources to slowly gain back up. With that handsy eating Pyro is absolutely beautiful. They're able to throw the Fire Strike out, making it to 1 health and taking out. Now with 2 ticks already captured, there is nothing Solar can do, especially with that impressive charge. They caught that faster than Solarflare did.
Yeah, this is such a good fight there from Wash Gamers. Really getting a great gauge onto the objective, and then just sending Solarflare attacking. And they're gonna have to, and they are making the opposite switch over onto the comp that they were running previously here with the Hanzo Sombra. Watch Gamers up. They're gonna have your Shatter and a Nano, so expect the Nano just go directly onto normal, and he's just gonna hold W into the opposition. Solarflare, though, as well, are now switching over onto a Zarya.
Can't lie, I respect it. It's a truly, I guess, good composition if you feel as it is, but it's what they're used to, so there's nothing wrong with comfortability. But going into this fight, Ronnie does have the Nano boost. He's going to be using it onto normal, letting them have the ability to move forward. That Shatter managing to find out Tick, and the Anti once again managing to find Pyro. It's a little bit rude and disrespectful because now Solarflare don't have any room to try to stop this street space snowball.
Yeah, Solarflare getting kind of stomped here. They had a good attack, but so far they're being eclipsed by Watch Game. And I mean, Solarflare, 6 minutes for Watch Gamers. That is absurd. They're gonna have a Diva bump and a close to their other DPS hold as well, but the other side, you only really have the window of players. So look to see for a Fire Strike pick. And if they get that, then maybe you have a...
Yeah, but it's kind of hard because they get the hack onto normal, and so immediately they're already cautious because of the window, so that gives them more reason to kind of play around these walls. They're just waiting, and Pillar wants to build up this EP as fast as possible. That hack does not come out fast enough to stop Spicy, and it seems we're going to be losing Starlet. That hurts a lot. Now you got to be trying to stop this push when you don't have any healing. You're taking an immense amount of damage, and Pyro's already back down to a split of health. Now with them moving forward, what can you do besides call Ghostbusters? Because you're dead. There is just nothing else to it.
Looking good for Solar Eclipse. They have an EMP into this next fight. First time we are going to see him use far on this defense. But you can see Snowfoo's awareness hiding the sound barrier. There's the EMP and there's the sound.
The dragon ends up going into a wrong direction, and it seems that the Shatter goes in the right area. But the Graviton Surge combined with the counter dragons from Tick, that is a beautiful team kill and a play of the game.
A lot of ultimates committed from Solar. I mean, I guess Watch as well. Watch Gamers use before, but I feel Solarflare's ults are kind of for attack. Well, I guess but the EMP and your Graviton Surge and your sound barrier, those are three of your like game-winning ults.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. Now when moving in, they're already putting an immense amount of pressure. Spicy able to take out the Lucio, meaning that they cannot speed away from this high noon. Breaking that immortality, they find the Zarya who gets booped in and the Baptiste. That's a little bit disrespectful. Now Spicy trying to show off a little bit flary out. Sure, you can try and touch this point again, Lucio, but the target focus is absolutely insane, as they're going to stop you from being able to stall. And they double the time bank, being able to capture, and it does lower down to 3 minutes and 48 seconds compared to the 2 minutes. This is going to be a little scary for both teams.
Yeah.
Switching sides.
They got rolled. I mean, that was a good attack. Washed Gamer. They had over 4 minutes, but due to how like their time bank has got brought down to 3:48. But look at that, minute 45-48 difference is quite a big one. That's like 4 fights if they're lucky. Like time difference. And so if you're Wash Gamers, definitely in the driver's seat, and this is your map. at this point.
Yeah, although, Joe, I don't know how often you see these, but I see them fairly often. King's Row is one of the only maps I've ever seen where a team could have less of a time bank and somehow capture all 3 points again. And I feel with the Sombra composition, it kind of works to their favor. It's kind of what it relies on.
Yeah, the thing is with the Somber comp, if they continue, Solarflare continue playing how they have the last couple of fights, they're gonna need to, they're relying a lot on some of these big ultimates, like your EMP, like your Gravity. And, I mean, you're not gonna get too many fights on the attack, at least, where you're gonna be able to have multiple of those ultimates, and so it does worry me a bit, but if they're able to just win a neutral fight here, if they win the first fight, Solarflare gets going.
I definitely agree. Though that hack onto normal means that you can't dodge any of the damage. Though with Jane split off the D.Va Gizmo, once again showing off this incredible play, being able to take them out. You can't really push it without that Zarya being able to peel you in. Even if normal is hacked, they seem confident enough in their skills to just push forward. Now they're set up. The Maywall does not really help much, but the Shatter is the one that kind of ends off. Yeah, we broke with the line of sight. Normal pops it out, builds it, and slams it down. That was absolutely phenomenal.
That's absurd. You built that in like 30 seconds. That is insanity. They have to like, it is just like 10 seconds to walk in the spot to get to the attack. That is my that is stacked quickly. And you're gonna have the Nano as well. That's fight forward.
A long time ago, Super would have said maintain difference, but it seems that Ronnie is saying that we're going to be able to use that Nano, take out Pyro, make sure they have no opportunity to be able to build off this Shatter or any ult charge. And now the rest of them are doing the right thing to retreat, though Tick is taking an insane amount of damage, and Pillar is trying to build up that EMP. They lose Jane. They have to rely on not only this EMP, but the Dragons and the support ultimates that they have in their bank.
What I was worried about, haven't been able to... And you can see that here when they're down, or it's just straight. It seemed to be loose. And now they're gonna have some ultimate.
Let them up.
I mean, same for Watch Game. They're gonna have everything except Shatter and the.
Yep, they use this window out to isolate, and they're saving up. The EMP, though, catches out 4. The Blizzard from the back manages to stop them and slow down the sound barrier charge. Although it is somewhat even, that Shatter not really managing to hit much, but it still makes that space. They're able to move forward, not only taking out the rest, but the Dragon is split. Though this Tick was caught, solidifying a possible win condition. Swirl is just not a Lucio carry, and I think Tick needs a bit more of a shield practice to be able to stop, so it seems that this point is going to stop at 42.4 ticks. That's absolutely beautiful, because at least you don't have a draw scenario, but it's still terrifying.
Yeah, especially with the time bank available. This is gotta be a tough.
Initiating match.
Honestly, normal has just been like he's just been laying it all out there. He's been giving at times Solarflare a bit of a, and can continue this. This could become one-sided.
You know,
Solarflare are trying their best, honestly, but their composition, it's very ultimate reliant. So they're not able to close out a lot of these fights. Have a smallish time bank, you could struggle quite a bit without the fight. You're not able to win.
Attackers incoming.
yeah, honestly, I feel... I've been saying honestly a lot. I'm a pretty honest person, I gotta be honest with you. Once again, I said it. Still, watched gamers, I feel this is just a change in their playstyle and momentum. They seem to just be more confident when pushing forward, and I think that's what a lot of teams in the Rookie Division are kind of struggling with, is that adaptation and how you try to play against it, which makes a big difference. That's why you see the Sombra not really working, because that relies on waiting for an opportunity, but watched gamers aren't going to give you any room to push forward. So when moving out onto this point, they're running with pretty much the same thing they ran onto attack. The main difference onto Solar is the fact that they have this symmetric, being able to teleport around, but they are looking for the picks, taking this rotation around the hotel. They want to be able to take it directly to them. Already, Pyro's shield is at half health. They start to take it down, they break it, and now they are moving forward. Though normal overextends, gets found. Jane at 90% is able to just start pumping in this damage. There's nothing you can do against a Zarya at 100%.
Yeah, Solarflare. managing to stay alive here. Like you said, Jane just super high charge. And as well, Pillarbit, just Sombra can become a beam of death. And so you saw some big plays from the DPS side, but now watch Gamer is going to pull a top swap. Heading over to an Olympic Diva. And it's gonna be a teleport.
Yeah, I mean, you slow it down, it basically works, and the FAR is somewhat interesting because there's not really anyone besides the Hanzo who can technically stop you, maybe a Baptiste. But you're able to overstay your welcome, you're able to start pumping in that burst damage, and now look how already low they are, and then the immortality is what basically saves them until that pull slams them down. They do find out Gizmo, and they use the Sound Bear when they were dangerously low. That's a massive benefit. They don't even manage to get this tick. The barrage does find out 3, and they get the Nano, getting the 4th one. They're pushing forward, looking out for the Baptiste in the air. You have to hit consistent shots, but there's not much you can do. They're able to take out Lava, but here's the issue. Respawns. Wait, no! You don't stop the res because of reload. You don't melee. And now they're able to push forward to throw at that wall, trying to stop it. But it seems that the stagger picks for all that Washed Gaming needs moving forward. Gizmo does have this bomb. They do get shattered, but they still pop it out just to be able to reset. Team Solar Fierce feeling fine, but they end up C9ing, not able to touch that point. And we're going to be seeing Washed Gamers take the lead 2-0. And that hurt my heart in the broadest sense of possible.
Play of the
That was an absurd battle. That was...
I gotta say, from an analytical point of view, how hurt are you from seeing what just happened, especially the Mercy being able to res because Azaria has to reload and was too far away to melee?
I don't know if there's so much. Okay, so here is my 5-head analyst take. Next time, walk close to the Mercy and punch her, and then the Mercy will die. Believe it or not, melee does 25 damage. So next time you should just probably walk up and melee the Mercy. Yeah, that's really sad though. They probably would have still lost, honestly, because they only had they had like one player around. They broke the teleporter and the respawn advantage, obviously in favor of the pack there. So I don't think it mattered too much, but it was just kind of sad to see.
Yeah, although, let's give a little bit of love. We have some stats up for you, and it's going to be the impressive player, the Hanzo themselves, Tick, as they were able to kind of play an amazing style of Hanzo. Look at this, being able to hit 30 eliminations, more than I guessed. I mean, that accuracy is, I think, as about expected for a rookie Hanzo, maybe a bit more above average, but I gotta say, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal for like Hanzo at most levels, because you just do spamming, especially in Brawl, right? There's a lot of situations shots are probably, but you just take them anyways. Why not? There's no harm in missing shots if they're just like random spray. But yeah, it's definitely the fact that he was on the losing team and he still managed to put up these stats. I mentioned at the start of the map, Tick Totem is really good, and I think these stats kind of show a lot of the value he's able to bring.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree. But still, I want you guys to make sure you're stay tuned. And the match is not going anywhere, but we are. We're going to go to a quick break. So make sure you stay tuned. Will Wash Gamers be able to continue and finish this out with a 3-0 or Solar Flare get the reverse sweep and bring that momentum in? You'll just have to stay tuned to find out.
I know the story of your life through winter storms and summer skies. There was a time when you were young and free. So let's go back to the beaches where I always make you laugh, to the forest There you go again, looking so handsome. Oh, you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your stardust, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind. You and your magic, like infinite power. God knows I tried to resist, but you're pulling me closer. Oh, I gotta stay away, but you won't let me. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it Oh, no one does it
One more wine, one more whiskey, and we just kept the car in park and dim the headlights so we see the stars. Let them tell us where we should start. And I'm scared as hell because there's no way to know.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here, still sitting proud and loud as Watch Gamers take the lead 2-0, and Solar Flare looking to want to make a difference. Joe, we've had a moment of reflection, and we do have the map pick, but before we get into that, what are your hopes upcoming for Solar Flare?
I thought you were gonna ask like my hopes, my ambitions in life.
No, you don't have
Dude.
any.
Yeah, I don't have any. But Solar Flare. Yeah, I don't know. It's just Solar Flare. Just they seem very. I don't know if this is the right way to put it. They seem bad at winning. Like it may sound really reductive since they like lost, but they're really bad at winning fights. They're not bad at engaging. They're not bad at killing things. They just can't win. And it's one of and honestly, I think it's because of the comps they run. These comps are very old. And so if they don't have an ult to like force their way into winning fights, they're losing them. And so I think if Solar Flare to try to figure out a way to win fights if they want to keep running these comps. They need
Yeah.
to their target focus quite a lot, or maybe switch their comps up a bit because these comps they run are very ult heavy, and in the neutral fight they can struggle quite a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, when going into our next map, Route 66, how much of that is really going to be affecting them? Because I feel Route 66 is a ult heavy map. That's kind of how you really push things. But, the neutral is very difficult. But how does that really change if they decide not to switch their compositions?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to switch their comps for the type of map it is. It's a very wrecking ball heavy map at least, and wrecking ball comps are it's like what's an ultimate? There's like 3 ults that anybody cares about. Like most wrecking ball comps, I guess you run a Sombra, so it's like you got EMP, Nano, kind of it, and a lot of times you see Zen, so I guess you care about trans, but a lot of these the comp is very neutral heavy. And so I'm looking for Solar Flare to run a comp that works a bit more in the neutral.
Ready for
Honestly, my goodness, gotta stop saying it. It's every time I open my mouth, it's just what I come in. I am a little interested though of just kind of compositions of what's rolling out. I'm not too surprised coming out of Wash,
Attackers
but
incoming
Solar,
in 30
they have my eye.
seconds.
Well, I mean, Wash had my eye as well, because they're running a Brawl comp here with Diana once again. They love the Sonic, but they're running it on route very open. Not the best for Brawl. And like third point is a very good Brawl point. Don't get me wrong. But first and second are better suited for like Arista comps or like Brawl comps. So Brawl is a bit of a strange decision.
3,
But the attacker
2,
looks like they want to run a more
1.
traditional like
Attackers
double
incoming.
bubble. And they're gonna run a straight. So definitely an interesting UTI.
I definitely have to agree, and seeing the Doomfist run out is going to be kind of a hit or miss depending on how Dave tries to play against it. Though that dive was very beautiful, able to hit some damage into Ronnie and the Lucio, so now they're just wanting to have to immediately brawl into. Star is having to play a bit more carefully because they're taking a lot of damage. The Ronnie is sacrificed to the Doomfist god. Chipsa feeling proud, and eventually Spicy following suit. They just aren't being able to do much, and it seems that Normal tried to charge off the map with Winston, who has a leap ability. Not impressive at all.
Oh, that is quite a bit of silliness. But Solar Flare managed to close up the fight. A very long fight. Took a minute. But Solar Flare gonna have a couple ults to roll in with. They're gonna have a Primal Rage. They're also going to have a Pulse Bomb in the opposition. They will have a Zapier, but they're Zapier.
Already pumping that damage. They almost take out the Mei, but it seems Gizmo's able to trade out onto the Brigitte. Though Spicy not being there is going to be an issue further moving on, because the dive is really going to be moving in without any form of contestment. Sure, those ultimates are built online from Wash incredibly fast, but you have no room to use them, so Solar is going to be able to capture this point.
Yep. I think you're starting to see some of the downfalls of those Wash gamers up that runs the on instead of a bat. When you're running against the dive can just keep that alive. You see it multiple times. They managed to pick off Ronnie.
Watching you
Take him down. Spicy Lemon is on the capacity to follow, but when you see him swap over to a dive comp, he'll stand the Lucio and keep walking over to the break due to the fact that I have this nano. And they'll also stay on the capture because of the fact that the dive comp is
Hey, they move in, they pop the Primal and the Nano onto the Monkey. Now they're just trying to find any picks, though it is very messy as Pillar is going to be found out by Gizmo, and really Pyros just stuck inside the enemy's backline, eventually going to be found out. That big sacrifice of the dive is going to be costing them, though they seem to be able to move forward, being able to take out the rest of Solar Flare. They still have two really big ultimates to recontest in this fight. I'm wondering if Gizmo can kind of shut it down.
Saddle up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's a really nice engage there from the side of Wash Gamer. Solar Flare tried to kind of go to Primal Blade, which I'm definitely not a big fan of. I prefer to kind of trying to start the Nano Blade afterwards, but Wash managed to absorb that and get the pick. And after Nano Boost control, it's going to see I go.
They're pushing forward already, using the high noon, trying to catch anyone out, but it seems the bubbles were more than enough to peel out. However, with Star gone, Lab as the Echo is able to put in an immense amount of damage uncontested. Though this punch wanting to just retreat out of this fight, Solar have to try again. At least they build up the rally for another setup.
Yep, they will have the rally built to here. Expect that to be pretty aggressive. You're gonna see if they can rotate into the backline, try to put a lot of pressure on. Dropping that fight.
Yep, now already moving out. That Graviton Surge managing to kind of go a bit too far. Ronnie's the one who's going to get hit by the Pulse Bomb. And that copy does hit the Monkey, so it gives them room to double ape inside this. Though the Brig and Peel from the rest of the team are more than enough to not only find the front line, but break this copy and stop anyone from the side of Washed Gamers to shut them down. They're basically going to be able to freely capture this because it's just no reason to try and contest it.
Yeah, Washed Gamers not able to do what they did in that fight. Tried to go first to engage, but just didn't work. Really good job on Solar for continuously rotating and then fighting picks while doing so. Now in the next fight, they're gonna have double things for Washed Gamers to now onto the bridge like on the other side, you're gonna have the particle and a nano and the primal raid.
And now when moving forward, we're going to have to see how they want to try and do anything. It's going to be harder when everything is so closed in. That's why you see Pillar immediately be taken out by the Echo. It's just the burst damage is absolutely insane. Now they are kind of stuck inside this slow poke, but having the Re-6, they're going to feel more than confident just wanting to push in and see if they can find much. The big issue that comes into this is that Nano is going to be a big hassle for Washed Gamers to try and play against. Though the Bomb's able to find out 7, they lose their own Brig. They immediately wake up the Winston, who was slept, and Tick is able to take out 2 people. They just move forward without any fear in their eyes. Truly a very fast, aggressive play, not something that we're used to seeing them. And the rest of Washed Gamers are going to be struggling to get those respawns out.
That's better.
And the double DPS will grow.
Yeah, so when moving forward, they pop the grab. They're able to catch the Brig out. Plus, with the Pulse Bomb, it's a good combination to take out both of the support lines. Now, Solar moving forward. They are losing a couple people. The slow kind of take as Lab plays that Tracer. And it seems that they are going to kind of be a more understanding team as they immediately retreat. And they don't really want to fight this. Though Lab immediately gets slept. That was a pretty clean type of denial.
Reversing personality module.
That is an unfortunate fact, especially with Pyro going down. They really don't have a reason to use that rally, but they still decide to invest it, peel in for for Star, who's kind of being pressured out, and they can continue moving in the fight. There's not much that Wash can do. They have the Blossom, but without that Brig to be able there to defend that Ana, you really are kind of going at this disadvantage. It seems the Diva's more than enough to be able to peel in. Now they're going into this fight, popping out that bomb. There is no shield to try to stop it, but they go for the remake onto Jade. Very rude, but it manages to land. But yet Solar is still fighting out the advantages in this fight, getting out the whole economy and now taking out the Moira. They are still finding more value than it comes to Washed Gamers, saving up these ultimates. They use the Blossom, but immediately get punched out. You're not going to be able to save that. Now they move in. Now they're trying to find as much as possible, but with that Pulse Bomb shutting down the Ana before they can really do much, the entirety of Washed Gamers are slowly tunneling down to their own deaths. They are coming close up to the copy, but Solar, they're feeling fine. They take out the Moira once again. The Echo not able to really build up those ultimates, and now the rest of their team, as this Diva just wanting to stall, gets that Nano into the mech. You're gonna wish you use that onto the Wrecking Ball. Not gonna have as much value as you really hope to. Down to 38 seconds. They are just trying to waste this as much as possible, but the bomb being there is gonna take out the Wrecking Ball. The Echo does return back with the Moira. Use that copy, gets the Doomfist, gonna try to slam, but immediately goes into the air and is somewhat being broken. It's gonna slam down onto the point, managing to take out Star, but the Immortality is gonna be able to save them for a little bit longer. Their respawns may be more in favor into Washed Gamers now, as they're sort of bringing it back, bringing this time back now to 10% or 10 seconds, I'd like to call it. Still, though, they aren't being able to isolate anything out, as it seems the majority of Solar are just being able to kill them. They are finding them, they are isolating, and they are building these ultimates clockwise. Being able to capture this with only 3 seconds. My goodness.
Yeah, Solar Flare, 0.3 seconds on the clock when they managed to pull that out. They seem to recover a lot towards the end there, but that early going's kind of a lot. Part of that map a lot, but managed to recover enough to manage to get a capture. On the other side, though, Wash Gamers, they looked on most of the time. Again, they just fell apart at some pretty crucial moments that allowed Solarflare to stay in this series. But we switched sides now. Wash Gamers turned to attack. I'm interested to see what they want to go for here on the attack. I'm surprised, honestly, if they continue to run this brawl comp. But that's kind of all we've seen them run, other than that bit of time where they did go for Safara.
You know, I've got to ask you a question. Have you ever watched Kung Fu Panda?
Kung Fu Panda, yes, I love it. It's one of my favorite films, honestly.
Understandable. Yeah, so I think you have to understand it. I think it's understandable when Master Oogway just sits there and goes, monkey. We're not going to be seeing Washed Gamers run out on it. We do see Solar, and they seem pretty fine on it. I just really wanted to say monkey, honestly, on the broadcast. There's nothing more than I've wanted. I think the double shield, though, plus this Pharah is an impressive counter.
4, 3,
sure, Intel.
1. Attackers incoming.
Yeah, we're gonna see an Ashe though for Tick Totem instead of the Tracer that we saw the attack. This may be because they expect it there, I'm not too sure, but that's okay, cool. GG, go next.
Yeah, you expect the Pharah, you expect to run a Mercy with that Ashe. The hit scans aren't as strong as they used to be. Lav is just able to immediately take you out, and now your entire team, which is split. The Doomfist goes in, able to take out the counter Ashe, but now you're stuck inside this open room, immediately being hit. You're just building up that Pharah charge, and the Zarya gets dropped down. Luckily, that monkey comes down perfectly, is able to drop the bubble and heals in, but Lav is split from their Mercy until they come in, hit that damage boost, finds out the Ana. The Brig is feeling terrible. What are you really supposed to do besides just walk into them and attempt to hope to kill them? It does seem Pillar, though, is the somehow aerial counter, immediately taking out the Farm Mercy. Now the double shield at this major disadvantage are stuck, having to try and retreat, maybe slow down the stagger, but the slam comes down, uppercut, and the escape of beautiful Doomfist mechanics.
Yeah, good. That's also, like, Pillar not going too aggressive there. I know a lot of Doomfist players, and I mean, I don't play Doomfist, but as a, like, over a player general, I'd probably try to face that. That's probably why I'm not pretty good, but, with a nice sense of play there from Pillar, no, not to go too aggressive there. We see a spot now for Wash Gamers. We're gonna go kind of back to his monkey, and Janewell with the
Already, that massive punch has put in some good damage, and the Doomfist is just freely able to walk into them, slamming down, splitting up the Baptiste, and now going in. They do manage to res the Farm Mercy, but how much can you do? You do eventually manage to find out Pillar, which is the exciting bright side, but it's more interesting to see that Lav gets picked off. That means you're now going into a 5v5 no matter what. You're trying to set up these dives, but it seems Pyro still feels confident being able to drop that bubble, denying you anything to push in, while the D.Va's inside the enemy backline. And same with the Winston. They do have the primal range, feeling fine, building up to that Graviton Surge. Solar basically are feeling so confident on this that they're being able to overextend. They pop that bubble, they use the primal, and the Doom is able to kind of come back, pop people in the air. They're using the Valve as a mode of transportation, as an engagement, though it does seem the Nano being on the Winston is more than enough to be able to sustain. Solar have not taken any considerable amount of damage, and they find out 2 people already. Now they push forward. That window is gonna be feeling like you got more value out of it into space.
I mean, Watch Gamers forced to not play.
My ultimate is ready.
Pick and kind of like on a brawl, and they are struggling, honestly. Solar Flare doing a really nice job at keeping Watch Gamers from doing much of anything. And you can really see it in their ults now. You have the Barrage and the Bombet on the other side. You're going to have a Bob, you're going to have a Rally, and a Dragon Surge, which are really leaving out for Spicy Love. They try to deal with this Doom, but it's more successful.
It doesn't really help when you lose your Farm Mercy, which is the entire point of your composition. Though that Graviton Surge helps to finish off the majority of these squishies, and Pyro's able to pick anyone. combined with the rally. The bomb is not enough from Gizmo, and they immediately have to retreat. This is looking like an impressive full hold.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be able to stagger out this as well, which is quite tragic, but, I mean, that fight is all Tick Totem. Takes down the pharmacy at the very beginning of the fight. I mean, that's like any hit stand player's dream. And now coming the next fight, you still have the barrage, and you still have the primal rage from Set of Watch Gamers, but on the other side, you don't have too many hits. You're going to have tribal and potion.
Yeah, you're working off 10 seconds worth of time. Using that barrage, and the Ash hits you mid-air. The Mercy getting mixed out, trying to do as much as they can. I definitely have to agree. Now look, Pillars is able to move in, helps to take out the Reaper, and now the tank line, they don't have ultimate, nor do they have a team to kind of help them. And Pillar, if they told me they were a Doomfist one trick, I'd believe them, as they're able to hit that punch and almost take out Ronnie and slam down to finish them off. There's just nothing Washed Gamers can do, because they're looking a little bit too washed when it comes to Route 66. I guess we'll have to see if they finish the map out, because Solar Flare take Route 66.
I made a joke in the last map about, or first map about Spicy Love being a Cassidy one trick, but Pillarman, he may be a Doom OTP. Second coming to Chip says, they say. That's what all the kids call him. Second coming to Chip though. Yeah, definitely some big plays coming out here from the Solar player. DPS line, Tick Totem and Pillarman just like decided, hey, I'm tired of losing, and then they just killed everything. It was absurd.
I gotta say, normally when I see Doomfists, I get really excited, because I think a lot of people who play Doomfist, they play Doomfist because they understand to an extent of Doomfist, and that's the value we can get. Do you know how annoying it is trying to stop a Doomfist who knows what they're doing? Indigestion, my apologies. But still, it was absolutely impressive, and Solar Flare looked incredibly different. I think that's now where we're starting to see their bread and butter, and we may see them kind of work more onto those compositions, especially on 2CP, because our next map is going to be, giving production a little bit of a second for it, Hanamura, because I think Winston works very well in this composition. Solar Flare really have nothing to worry about.
I mean, you kind of do, because Brawl is the name of the game on Hana. But see a bit of a stat card here from Pillarman. Talked about him quite a ton there in the ending part of that last map, and the statistics back it up there. 12 minutes of playtime, and 10k hero damage. So like that's around like 8.5k per 10. That's definitely some great work there from Pillarman. And see, at 23 of his 38 ellipses or final blows, it died 6 times. And he was averaging an ult every 2 minutes, which on Doomfist is really quite good.
Yeah, honestly, I think you really don't have to worry too much about the deaths, because Doomfist is often really dying. But I still feel
But the deaths are so low, is the
yeah,
thing.
it's absolutely phenomenal. Normally, I try not to pay attention to deaths on Doomfist, because you expect that higher rate, especially in the rookie division. But you've got to give props to Pillar. That is how you play Doomfist, and that is how you show off the guns. Can't see it, but I'm showing off my guns. Nah, listen, look, all right? My guns. All right, you got the punch. All right, Overwatch 2, they give Doomfist a gun. That's the next update. That's what I expect. Either way, I think
they should give Doomfist a Glock. I think that would make him viable.
Yeah, he has one fist to take down a building and a gun.
So you know how he has like, is it technically a gun? Whatever he like shoots out of his hand.
Technically, yeah, it's like little pellets.
Like, what is that? Like, I imagine they were just like Nerf pellets that just like eject out of his hand.
That's how I'd like to think. It's just his pure sweat to say, like the Rock song. Like, have you listened to the Rock's new song?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's Doomfist.
Yeah, it's all about drive. It's about power. Stay hungry.
I agree.
And honestly, is this gonna get like Elo held DMCA? Am I gonna get held accountable?
No, not my fault. I blame Ben.
No, definitely not your fault.
No, I blame Ben. That's just technically what I like to do. Either way, Hanamura itself is a very hateable map for me. I'm gonna raise my hand. I hate Hanamura. I hate it too.
Yeah, well, until some people just have bad opinions. apparently you're one of those
Listen.
people.
I prefer something like Volskaya. I don't like Hanamura solely from the fact of how that second point works. I think the first point's absolutely beautiful because you can full hold it or you can
First
win
point's
it.
the worst point out of the
What do you?
two. The first point, there's just a big doorway. That's it.
Okay, I'll
It's
give you that.
it's the
There is
most,
a.
like, brain dead design ever. Ooh,
It,
we make
it
big
is pretty
doorway
brain
and
dead.
tiny window. It's like, we're gonna make a tiny window that half the cast can't get to.
Okay, fair enough. But the respawns when it comes to second point are terrible. How do you enjoy that?
I mean, yeah, but, like, comparing it to other 2 maps, probably my favorite.
Volskaya?
I don't like Volskaya, point very much because it's like, you have the weird, like, archway dude, the first point Volskaya is just, it might, like, first point Volskaya makes me, like, very depressed when I play right. First point Hanamura, though, not so much. First point Volskaya, I just, like, I hate
Ready
myself
for
on attack or
battle.
defense.
Or
Like,
shoot
you
you
like,
in the foot. That's my threat of the day.
you're
Either
just
way,
gonna shoot me in the foot?
look, we're not here to talk about the threats that I've made. Just clip it, all right?
Okay.
But take it over. Look at these compositions: the double shield versus the brawl. Although it is a SMTP, so I don't know. I always feel like they're so obvious to see.
Well, but some TPs, there's so many spots you can TP. I mean, there are a couple of main, like, I don't even want to say spots, but, I guess you could say kind of normal spots, lost spots too. But there's like 6 of those spots. I can think of like 4 off the top of my head. And so, the fact that they might be expecting a sim TP, you don't really know where it's going. If they're a well-drilled team, but they may have like protocols for what to do on the different sim TP, then it's gonna go straight through the middle of the point, and they're gonna not take the TP. It's gonna be a fake.
Oh, it's a debate. They want to be rotating onto that high ground, but all the issue is with that rotation, they take an immense amount of poke. Already, it seems that they're forcing the side of the double shield to be in an uncomfortable position. I'm more confused of how they're pushing in because they sacrificed Spicy, and now they're trying to walk directly into everyone's amount of damage. Sure, Tick is dangerously low because they're not with behind the shield, and you have to switch over to the Reaper, but you're still not in a position to where you can push forward without immediately being hit with damage. Look at this, James almost at the Gravitic Flux before Star hits the window. It's absolutely beautiful. Now they want to push in. They're waiting for that nano as the condition to move in. They managed to get it with the shield from there. They want to be able to pull that shatter at 29 seconds. The Flux slams down, puts you at half health, manages to take out the May. And now your Reinhardt has nothing to do. This is just one long fight to give Watch Gaming full charge.
Yeah, Solar Flare, do a great job at holding on to the deep. Their names are full fun. Don't Solar Flare. But they did a great job there. Kind of keeping Washed Gamers from existing. The Washed Gamers tried to get forward on this point there. They lost their Symmetra, swapped over the Reaper, but while that was happening, J-Will was just like, what if I built into a Gravitic Flux in 45 seconds? That would be pretty funny. And he did so successfully. Washed Gamers now coming over on kind of double shield concept.
I think it's going to be a little bit more curious, although they are at a disadvantage because they're running a Reaper, who is a close quarters combat character, and a pure poke, so Tick is going to be feeling absolutely happy. They do get a pull, almost managing to kind of help to take out Gizmo, and they're stuck inside this very small room.
J-Mo almost has another book, by the way.
Yeah, that's absolutely phenomenal. You are amazing at the character if you're being able to build it up this fast, but they drop down. They use the blizzard in the thunder, but that window combined with the grab, with the bongo and the Valk, all the ultimates kind of investing. Watch Gamers in comparison have literally nothing. Just see as Killer is able to kind of slowly move in, start melting them down, and basically get that team killed.
Solar Flare has completely regrouped. And, I mean, after dropping the first 2 deaths, after looking kind of combobulated in a lot of situations, they have come back with a vengeance here. Dominated last map, but now have held Watch Gamers down to only a minute. Held them for 3 minutes so far. And Watch Gamers now switching over to a Junkrat. They just seem like they have no idea what they want to really do here. And Janewell has this Gravitic Flux, which could shut this entire attack.
They do want to use this Gravitic Flux. The rock misses and they slam both the tanks in the air. Gizmo's the one who goes dangerously low.
A bit early.
Yeah, I definitely had to agree to that sentiment, and yet it seems that Pyro is the one who's going to be going down extremely early. They do get the res, and it seems that the poke is able to take out Ronnie beautifully enough, but the Reapers inside their backline. They do lose the majority of their team and decide to just regroup. They only have 30 seconds. Washed Games is just not keeping up with this momentum anymore.
Yeah, Washed Gamers are gonna have to try to pull something out here. Not a lot of time in the bank. Second, they have a Bongo with, I guess, a Blossom. It's taken a really long time to develop a Blossom. Maybe because the comp they're playing is taking very long, but... And you also have a Ganon for and there's the opening.
Yeah, they're able to get a lot when it comes to the push. Takes doing absolutely amazing work. The Bob's on point, helps to break down the Bongo, and they're stuck inside this overtime scenario. Death Blossom wanting to do anything is stuck inside the Immortality. Plus with the Nano, I mean, you managed to get the Orisa, but you died to the back teeth. And that is one full hole coming in from Solar Flare. The momentum has shifted, and they're feeling strong.
Yeah, full hold there from Solar Flare. That is absurd. Solar Flare are keeping themselves into this series here. After going down 2-0, they're in a great spot to get a reverse sweep. They only need one tick, and they have 4 minutes to do so here to win out the. And then they have to just go to control. It would be a map pick of Washed Gamers, but still. But if they could win this, they've won 2 different map selection. Or, yeah, they will have won a map selection already of Washed Game.
Ready for battle.
Washed Game chose to go here to Hanamura. And now you would go to another map pick of there. And if you're Solar Flare, you're probably feeling pretty confident about it.
Like, I won't lie to you, okay?
You do that a lot, so.
Yes, listen, I won't lie to you. I did not expect this match to go this deep in. Sometimes I truly don't grasp how important placements take or seeding, especially with you want to bring that momentum into playoffs. Because only one team is leaving with a 6-1 record, and someone's leaving with that 5-2. And already it seems that Solar Flare are building momentum, while we see Wash Games slowing down. It's like they've gone to Australia. They're working on the opposite ring, though they want to work on this big spam competition, which may help them a little, especially having kind of 2 really strong support healers. But I like what Solar Flare are doing. They're running out on the Wrecking Ball competition, which could bring some variety to it. They do lose Pillar almost immediately, though, so I don't know how great you really got to be feeling about yourself, especially when your Mercy gets split from your Pharah and now the fight's over.
I'm not really sure why they're running to Genji, because newsflash, Genji is not good. We talked about giving like Doomfist to block. What if they give Genji to block?
No, I think it would work, especially because Genji can help dive in with the Wrecking Ball and just immediately just shoot you. As far as trying to take these rotations and get these line of sights, the dive is focusing more on just kind of...
Where's his Mercy?
The Mercy is in the Hail Mary kind of show. We're already seeing them walking inside the point where Watch Games is just perfectly set up. That ANC does manage to hit. Ronnie's going to go down. Gizmo is barely able to stay up when they got hit, but with this, Solar Flare able to start walking on. They lose their Genji, but it's not really much of an issue. The Wrecking Ball is able to kind of make up for it, especially with the Pharah not building up to that barrage fast enough, but at 86%, they can stop this fight in 1 second for any type of person who comes back. And I gotta say, interesting way you play that comp, but it definitely works because Solar Flare, they're gonna be bringing us to a map 5.
Solar Flare. Sending us to map 5. Sure, I guess. They win. Yeah. That was a really weird attack. Oh, this Solar Flare. They kind of, you know, like a Luigi with like doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah.
Like they won because their opponent did absolutely nothing. Like you mentioned how it seemed like Wash Gamers are really slowing down here. I think that was more evident in that final map than had been the entire rest of the set. Like, what were they like? Like they kind of just seemed pretty lost. Solar Flare were kind of able to just walk onto the point, and then the Genji was like, what if I dash a half-health target? And then they just died. It wasn't like, I know it's a very 5-head like analysis, but yeah, it just kind of It seemed like washed gamers didn't really. They looked very long. They looked like somewhere along the map they realized that they weren't gonna win, and so they stopped. I don't want to say they stopped trying, 'cause they definitely did, but they stopped having a good idea of what they needed to do to win. And that could be some of the most detrimental thing in Overwatch when you kind of forget how to win, or don't really have a good idea of what to do. You could just feel so kind of trapped.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. And now we're moving back over to a control map, which can be a big issue. They're gonna have to work something. But before we go to a polish, just to give you more seconds to realize what's going on, let's show some beautiful statistics right up onto the screen, because these players have been showing off. And Tick has been an underrated hero. I think Solar Flare, everybody on their team is starting to stand up. But do you see that little counter at the second bottom? Deaths 0.
0. This is the defensive set. Let's make this clear. That this was on the defense on the Ash, and 0 death. That is wild. They did not die once. Not sure. I think like Wash gamers, like, I think they definitely got some kills, but they didn't get too many there. Solar Flare kind of dominated that defense in a way we haven't seen anything throughout.
Think it's gonna be something kind of curious, but still, it's highly impressive. I think in Overwatch, if you can play a game and you don't die once, then you're playing your hero to the finest degree. You're doing your job and you're staying alive, which is the most beautiful part. So, if you're curious to see what happens next, well, you'll just have to stay tuned, because we'll be right back after this quick break.
I know the story of your life through winter storms and summer skies. There was a time when you were young and free. So let's go back to the beaches where I always make you laugh, to the forest where we found a hidden path, to the summertime of 2005, when we were still alive, when we were still alive. When we were still alive. When we were still alive. So let's go back to the beaches where I'd always make you laugh, to the forest where we found a hidden path, to the summertime of 2005, when we were still alive, when we were still alive. 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 There you go again, looking so handsome. Oh, you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your status, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind. You and your magic, like infinite power. God knows I try to resist, but you're pulling me closer. Oh, I gotta stay away, but you won't let me. No one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. No one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it Oh, no one does it
Welcome back, everyone. We are still here live and proud because Solar Flare have brought this back when we were on the last pause. It was 2-0 in favor of Washed Gaming. However, Washed Gamers, more of it, are struggling to finish this series out as we follow back over to Control. We will be on to Nepal. And, well, Joe, we're in a very kind of reverse sweep scenario.
Yeah, for sure. Solar Flare managed to take the last two maps in pretty dominant fashion. Kind of did a wee bit of tomfoolery, as they say. Um, they definitely have put Watch Gamers to the back ropes. They're fighting for their lives here, and they're gonna need probably. They're probably like wet from being heavily favored to win the series after the first two maps too. I honestly think Solar Flare have the best chance to come away with the win.
I would be wrong if I said I didn't agree. As much as it would pain me to be a little one-sided, I just feel Solar Flare have definitely been putting up the momentum. More importantly, so every win that Solar Flare has gotten so far has been a full hold. Route 66, Hanamura, and now when we go on Nepal, that's really going to be making a difference. I mean, yes, there is
Full
a
hold
kind
on
of
Control.
possibly, and there is that myth that the worst team wins on Control. I don't
Bad
always
team
believe
when
that.
Control. Bad when Control.
Yeah, I don't always believe that. And so I think this is truly where both of these teams, they have to bring everything out because Nepal can be a tricky map, especially when we're starting out on a map like Village. That can be difficult.
Hey, I thought you said you didn't know Control map.
I only know Nepal.
Ah, okay. I know like all of Except Oasis is the one I don't. Yeah. Paul. I was about to ask where's Nepal located. I feel really.
Hey, I mean, like, I sat there one time and it was like, where's Ilios, you know?
I was gonna be like, which country is Nepal in?
I once asked, where's Ilios, so you're definitely not alone. But look at this! Solar Flare are, they're on some copium right now.
I don't know if I would put it as copium, but I think they're on some, like, wacky compium. Is that like a...
Capture
Gonna be I'll make it. You're in a double shield here on a very brawl-heavy point. And watch gamers, normally, when you see the brawl in this point, see what the symmetrics have set up on point. Oh, not for that.
Look at that, Farah and the Orisa managing to take out the majority of their team. 3 people already down. There's nothing that Washed can do. And I gotta say, that caught me so off guard.
Yeah, I mean, that fight kind of ended was kind of a blink there, but Solar Flare take
defenses in place.
No real let's try this edge. Most Raj for the side of Pillarman, who probably could build up for that mid fight, or maybe good early poke will be able to get it done for him.
Yeah, look. Watch the gaming. Yeah, they're immediately using XP to walk in. That bull's gonna miss, and they're able to hit that ANC not only onto Jane, but to Pyro. They've launched their tank line, it's up to the DPS to make something, but with Tick gone because of Gizmo, and really, the rest of the support line missing, there's just nothing much you can do. That is truly where the Orisa composition has its weaknesses, as we see Washed Gamers being able to capture the point.
Yeah, you saw, I criticized the Ana pick a decent bit through the series, but this time it could show some of the value it's able to get there, as it's just a good anti-aid, managing to take down, or get a lot of people anti-aid. Great ball there, I'm very
The barrage, though, is a good counterplay, able to take out Roshi. Rani, as the rest of Solar Flare have the room and the shielding to be able to play against this. We see Watch Gamers split entirely, and while that point is getting close to kind of evening up, it seems Solar Flare are going to be able to capture this and have pretty much a good sustain of ultimates for the next fight.
Yes, Solar Flare will manage to capture up here, like you mentioned, good amount of ults. They're going to have both tank ults. This a window. Valkyrie is pretty close as well, but not the most impactful ult. On the other side, we're going to have both TS ults close to both tank ults. The bomb is lagging a bit behind, and same is the sound barrier. So, I mean, this can definitely be an ult BS.
It seems that they're more relying on using that Maywall to stop them from trying to escape, using the window and the Valk heals and damages an insane amount. Watch Gamers, they are just going to flat out ignore it and play to their advantage. Just being able to directly walk onto them, take them out. The Vara can try to shoot you all you want, but without really a mercy there, you just get clipped at the end. You're like a butterfly.
Yeah, and that will be the end of that fight there. Watch Gamers really do a nice job of taking the fight by its horns and closing that out. And now the ult economy, I wouldn't say it's flipped on its head, but I feel like Watch Gamers probably have the advantage here. You just have a ton of impactful ults though for Solar Flare. Like both and your Barrage. The sound barrier can do a decent job at trying to prevent a cluster value, but I think you're gonna use that and just die to the barrage, but I mean, Spicy Lemon was not prepared for that teleporter.
They just brawled on to Colson. I can't believe it. Now using that barrage, the Maywell blocks out a tiny bit, the sound barrier comes out a bit after the complete touchdown. So now that bomb sure is there to stop them from touching that point, allowing them to bring this close to 1-5 territory. Solar Flare being able to win this out and still have 2 really good ultimates when it comes to kind of poke.
Yeah, Solar Flare, keep themselves into this map. Like you said, two for them in the fight. And have this Bongo, which they weren't forced to use, and they also built up into a Symmetra wall. They managed to catch out Cassidy, who is the Cassidy, who was kind of sitting on top of the high ground. The Solar Flare knows that, he's right up into his face, completely decimated him. But you're gonna have a shatter, but from normal as well as
yeah, it seems that they're going to be running on point, ignoring the Bongo altogether. Spicy was on a point to use that high share, gets punished for it, and now the Reinhardt with the Nano is split because of this wall. There isn't much you can do. They're trying to just force them off the point, give themselves time to kind of regroup, but they're entirely split. Wash Gamers are going to be losing 2 of their teammates. The barrage able to clean up, and the Symmetra uncontested moves forward. Honestly, some confusing plays coming out from Wash Gamers, and now there's just nobody on their team who can really touch this point. I mean, Spicy can try and do it all you want, but they're not even going to attempt to. It seems that we're already on to match point as Solar Flare. They're ready to end it off.
Yeah, Solar Flare, they can close out our next point here. They will be able to win out this series here and finish the reverse sweep. And we're heading to Shrine to find the finale here.
I gotta say, Washed Gamers, what do you feel is kind of slowing them down, especially now with the Wrecking Ball competition coming out? Not only take onto the Chaser, but Pillar onto the Doomfist. Wash just gotta get their head in the game.
Round 2.
Yeah, definitely. They need to regroup Peter Bange to close this out. We're going to see a dive comp from the side of Solar Flower on the opposition. Wash Gamers going to go there, try to true formula, which is the Honorable.
Yep, they already managed to find out Spicy hit a nice anti onto the support line. Pillar may be going down, which is a bit more of the unfortunate side of the street that Lucas has your engagement. But Normal has literally no healing to be able to protect themselves aside from the Lucio. And they get melted down. Now the rest of Washed Gamers who are trying to maybe heal in, maybe do some type different strategy, are immediately taken out. And this is going to be a further issue. You see them already switching up their compositions, trying to adapt.
Yeah, it's going to be a 6-man for Wash Gamers here. I say that, but it's not. Okay, now it is. They, like, stuck on the Bay for a bit, saved for the Cassidy, but now they have switched over to your Reaper Sombra DPS line. On the other side, Solar Flare, you're going to have a pulse bomb from them. Look to try to stick on to Lucio. That's kind of the only hero that you can confirm a pick on. And then they're also pretty close to front.
Already moving out, they managed to stop Normal from being able to dive into the lose Pyro in the mid. Though with the Sombra, they stopped the Doomfish from having any room. Those Pulse Bomb manages to find out Ronnie, but they are still at a major disadvantage. We see Watch Gamers being able to move in, look for these hats to try to stop any of these flankers, still taking an immense amount of damage as Tick somehow able to go beyond and play plus Ultra. Yet, Watch Gamers are going to be able to get this capture, and I feel with the Sombra, they're now ready to play as they force Pillar onto the Genji.
I mean, I don't think you ever force somebody onto the Genji. I think they just decide to go Genji. It's gonna be a Genji pick though for Pillar, as this dive comp is to kind of go to a very, very aggressive comp. You're gonna with the Mercy and your kind of Genji.
I'm already moving in. This is a nice dive to set things up. However, there is a Nano Monkey that is now going to be jumping inside Wash's back line. So Normal tries to counter it out, able to get that nice leap dart to slow it down the sound barrier just to save themselves. And it does miss. And the rest of the Wash staying out there, running out. You do have the proper range as they're using it just to try to CC around. But Solar Flare having issues when it comes to being able to engage. They're not really finding out anyone, and the point is still very much into Wash Gamers' favor. Now being able to pick off Tick means that there is nobody trying to poke down. The basic are gone. That's now nobody eating up a considerable amount of spicy damage. The Vincent can no longer move in, and they have set themselves up for ruin as they continue to keep taking this poke, looking out for any type of room. They do get a nice big 3 ante, but they're waiting for that remake to come in. Unfortunately, though, Jane is going to be picked off. That does manage to find the 2K, which puts things back into their favor. They lose out their monkey, but the Coalescence seems to just clean things up. The Death Blaster may not find much until the Genji dashes into it, but that was almost an ending for the side of Watch Gamers, but they bring it back.
Solar Flare had all the advantages in the world there. And then Tick Totem comes up with what looked to be a killing blow there with that Pulse Bomb, but the EMP Blossom as well as the Coalescence from Ronnie made sure Wash Gamers were not out of it. 88% for them now. One last engage for Solar Flare to try to win out Shrine. Otherwise, we will head to Sanctum.
Enemies detected.
Gotta say, they need to touch the point. They need to do something about it. The Diva Jane is able to kind of consistently hit there, and they do have the blade. No nano. They may want to save that up, but they have to use the battle just to be able to build up that ore charge. They're able to find out too, and again, he's moving forward, still doing an amazing amount of damage. But Wash Gamers, they don't know how to play against it. They don't know how to counter it, and they are found out. Truly a back-to-back fighter.
I'm on fire.
Yeah, Solar Flare maintain themselves in this map. They have the Nano Blade, but honestly, I'm not too confident in the Blade to find too much value. I mean, now that we see a switch over to the Cassidy, the Blade you can like cut down the Cassidy and then switch over onto the Lucio as well, but I mean, if they can get too quick with it, that's absolutely nice. And I'm gonna look for that coming out throughout the
They use that sound barrier to play against the Nano Blade. You're not going to be able to get any room with it, but you're at least giving yourself more time in favor. Now, Philip having to back out is going to be found out. The bomb, we see the monkey going onto the point, tries to primal out Star, but they're able to hit that sleep heal and feel perfectly fine. Though with the split, Wash Gamers don't have anyone to really protect that Sombra, especially Rooney, who is just struggling to stay alive, managed to get found out. Now in this last second fight, it's in a one territory. Normal is stuck, confused, out of gas, to try to find anyone out, but once again, gets slapped. Completely rude, and I don't think anyone can truly touch. I've got to say it, folks. I got to say it proud. There may be a contest here still. They are trying to touch that, and she's going to be able to hit them, but that EMP looking nice. They're able to find out 3 and get Killer with the high noon, though this post bomb manages to help kind of isolate them out, and they're still getting the picks. The Diva and Wrecking Ball are the ones who are going to be able to touch. Getting that sleep dart, it's not going to matter much when they get broken up, but the can't be able to help find out Gizmo. Now Normal Trap being able to just kind of walk around onto the point. Gizmo going to be able to find out the Ana, which is a benefit, but the Moira coming back onto the point immediately to almost get one clip from the dem picked up by Jane matters to the highest degree. Now the Tracer, there's only so much you can do when it comes to the stall fight, because we see 1 week close to the GG playoffs. We get this reverse sweep. Solar Flare taking the victory.
Play of the game.
What is
They
this,
win.
Like, dramatic? What is this dramatic, like, Solar Flare that you're rocking with?
But I don't know. It's a song. I don't know. I'm like trying to get through Hilo Hell DMCA today. First, start singing the rock. I'm singing some random rock song, man. That's absurd. But well, it's not absurd. I mean, I guess it kind of is absurd. The reverse sweep is successful. Solar Flare close it out. And I mean, both points there in the poll, I felt like Wash Gamers had the advantage, and they just weren't able to quite finish out either point. And with that, that is going to be Solar Flare improving to 6-1 on the Get Good season.
Man, they're really gonna have to make some differences and changes if they want to kind of make it far when it comes to playoffs, because you don't get too much of those adaptions, and it's really going to hurt. I do think Watch Gamers, they looked great on the first 2 points, but as it continued going forward, they lost that momentum, they slowed down, and it hurt in the end. But still, they will be moving into the playoffs. They'll be feeling great. Well, not great, but they'll be feeling at least confident in their chances to move forward. But honestly, Joe, I've got to say, for a rookie match, that was so good.
Yeah, there was definitely some sloppy moments, but both teams in almost every situation looked like they had the good ideas of what they wanted to do and how to execute it. And there was some moments where they weren't quite executing to their best potential, but and a lot of them they definitely were.
I definitely have to agree, but this isn't the end of anything so far. Make sure you stay tuned in, because we have one more match for tonight.
There you go again, looking so handsome. Oh, you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your stardust, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind. You and your magic, like infinite power. God knows I tried to resist, but you're pulling me closer. Oh, I gotta stay away, but you won't let me. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it
One more wine, one more whiskey, and we just kept the car in park and dim the headlights so we see the stars. Let them tell us where we should start. And I'm scared as hell because there's no way to know how this goes. But I can't help but say I promise to give you my all. But it might break me. It might break me, break me. It might break me, break me. It might break me down. I won't let you down. But it might break me, break me. It might break me, break me. It might break me down. It might break me. It might break me. It might break me. It might break me down. But it might break me. But it might break me. It might break me. It might break me down. But it might break me. The sight of you, it makes me dizzy. And when you're gone, I miss your face. Tonight I'll meet you in our favorite place. And just can't let this wait one more day.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great evening, night, whenever you are deciding to watch this broadcast, because some of you people watch this at dangerously late times. Either way, we are here with another match, but this time, instead of Rookie, we are here in the intermediate division, Riptide versus Lotus. And right now, this is kind of more of an interesting game because one team is rocking 4-2, one's rocking 5-1, so it's kind of in a countermediate. I'll be your play-by-play caster, user Intel, and here joined by Mr. Joe Razor. How are you doing?
I am good. My throat hurt a bit, but we got the tea, so everything is good now. We are straight vibing. But
I
I
gotta.
am excited for this match. Like you said, 4-2 is the record for Riptide, and then a 5-1 record for Lotus. So two teams towards the top of Inter, which is honestly it has a lot of pretty good teams. They have one undefeated team in Paradise Tempest. We talk a bit in the break about them. The Owlet champions coming now over to GGNA, and they are putting on a kind of masterclass there at the top. But number 2 team right behind them is Lotus, and if they could get a win today, they would go up to 6-1. And if Paradise Tempest lose today, or like lose, wait, no, Paradise Tempest, yeah, Paradise Tempest lose. I mean, you could see a situation where these two teams would be like tied for that top spot.
I definitely would have to say I agree. Although I am a
I mean,
Paradise
it's a
Tempest
fact. You
fanboy.
can't really agree. It's
Yeah, like
fact.
I can't really say anything. Yeah, like listen, I am a Paradise Tempest fanboy, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
have to
yeah.
focusing on to these matches right now because these are two interesting teams rocking kind of interesting rosters as well. Some of these players you may recognize as they've consistently shown to be able to kind of pump off to really good extents. Honestly.
Yeah, definitely. The DPS of Bastion and Clockwise of on like opposite teams, they are definitely two pretty scary players. So I'm definitely excited to see them go at it.
I I'm more interested to see what type of different variations that will run because sometimes, especially teams, when they go on to control, and more than anything, when they start out on Oasis, your roster defines the compositions that you want to play, and I think that can really change the way that the flow works. Because I've said it so many times, Oasis itself is such a weird control map, and
It's
I
a
never
funny
really
map.
know. Yeah, I never really know like what works on it because I always feel like it's brawl, but then one day people start running different things and it works. I'm like, how?
Yeah. Oasis is a very wacky map. A lot of different points. This time, hopefully, one of us can remember the names of the points, but definitely,
No.
a very fun map. You see a lot of Wrecking Ball on it, a lot of Dive as well, and then Brawl. Those are kind of your 3 main comps in Overwatch at the moment, anyways. And I would probably say all 3 get some decent playtime.
Fair enough. It's kind of more even out. I think it's kind of spread depending on like what team and what variations. Because I think Shang Tower is the most popular, and then I think Oasis is much better than Nepal to some people. And then there's Ilios. I feel like Ilios is like the ugly stepchild that nobody likes but still plays for some reason.
Isn't there another control map?
No, Joe.
Busan.
Oh my god! How did we forget Busan? That's
I
such a
was
good
so.
control map.
It's like the second favorite control map for most people.
I think it's just because we haven't seen it tonight, nor if we talked about it. So I think that's something that we're not really going over.
Yeah, it
But
was like okay, how GGNA works for the regular season or like and EU is there's like a different control map assigned to the different weeks and to start series is on and well Busan was like one of the first couple weeks and
yeah,
so probably why it's out of your mind. But yeah, I definitely
hey,
know a lot of people like running Busan.
yeah, hey, it's out of my mind. I'll tell you that much.
A lot of
Either
things are.
way, all right, listen. I'm more excited to see what we are kind of going to be playing on. Fun fact, though, so I don't drink tea to kind of refresh. I just keep talking, even through the pain. We are looking. I kind of like how Lotus has a
Ready for
Bastion
battle.
player called Bastion, Rule 34. And if they do they run out of Bastion? How much do you know about Lotus?
I hate to. Well, actually, Bastion is on Rift, not Lotus. So you should get back.
All right, I've been debated. It's okay.
You have been debated once again. You will be debated.
4, 3, 2.
This is a sign that Intel does not look at the team sheets before the match.
Hey, listen, we'll play by play. My job is to start talking, and especially because the fight has now started in a weird sense because it's Wrecking Ball versus Rhyme. So it's very slow, and we always see them kind of trying to take the attention. They want to be able to find Fid or the Wrecking Ball with that Maywell, but they're unable to. And Korean is trying to take those pot shots, but it's really hard because they're being able to perfectly fly around. Though it looks like the Mercy almost gets flipped out. The Wrecking Ball is almost the first one. It's not until Nova gets picked off until Todd decides to just kind of fall out and die. Now Lotus are taking full control of the point, and they basically have a pretty good foothold on it.
Yeah, good foothold here for Lotus. Getting a fairly clean fight to start things off. You're gonna look at the next, but there's not really a ton of ultimates. We're gonna see stuff onto Zarya, so you're gonna see the Zarya all from Riptide. Sure. Definitely a weird comp, and they catch Zarya out, just run him down.
Hey, that's an inspirational barrage.
Oh.
You're directly using it to your enemy's face. You're fine too with it, but look at this. Clockwise, the Mei, the true demon, being able to find out 2, 3, and pushes forward. The Diva putting pressure onto Bastion, being able to kind of AD straight, looking around. That's why I think Soldier is the dumbest hero in Overwatch. Look how silly he looks for an old man. Not even being able to use that bomb solely to just remech. The team does come back. It seems that they want to stall for a tiny bit more time, or they're not going to be able to push forward, especially with the rest of the team behind them. The Immortality just barely managed to save, so they'll at least have a full regroup.
Yeah, 4 regroups will come through. Coming next fight, we're going to see a minefield from Trevor. Use the Wrecking Ball. I know it may not be obvious to Rose David's spell. And you're going to have the Pack Visor as well, which comes out immediately.
And now they have their mechs, they're having the CC. Ta almost goes down, and they really only have the Val. It seems like the Visor's really being LOS while the Mines are doing much. And it just seems that Korean takes too much damage from the Mines and gets found out while using the high news. Almost manages to take them. Does see the sound barrier allows the rest of the entire to push forward while the Shattered lands onto the Zarya. They're basically feeling fine. Eventually we do see Fid get taken out mid-air, and the Mercy not going to be able to look for any opportunity of a red. But still, this is looking way more in favor for the side of Lotus as they're just able to kind of brawl and focus forward. Chewy does eventually get taken out because of the slam. It just does too much damage, but the point control is looking more and more in favor of Lotus as they are picking off the targets, building up their ult charge, and feeling pretty confident at that 50%.
Yeah, definitely. 50% for both sides. Next fight, we're going to see a Demon Bomb is available for Lotus, and they also have a Visor, but on the opposition, Riptide does not have a ton of ults to work with, only really with the Barrage, but if you're going to, like, do maybe 3 kills with it, you're going to be feeling like Riptide are going to probably be able to win this out, but it doesn't even take the fair to get the stick.
Yeah, they push forward, and immediately Finn just gets taken out. That bomb is being Hail Mary, trying to make a difference, and it seems that Korean is just the one who's going to be able to make it. With that window, they do end up getting split off because of the mines, but Korean really doesn't care, just being able to take out these damages. Now this inspirational charge, being able to take out most of the armor, but now split from the supports. We're seeing Skirm Memes just not being able to do much, and Korean truly being the MVP, being able to take out the majority of the opponent. Now in this overtime type of situation, we're going to be seeing the Visor pop out. That Falcon Mercy immediately punished, combined with the High Noon. There's just nothing you can do. The immediate damage from the side of Lotus is almost impressive. I'd say almost, because absolutely, especially with the Wrecking Ball trying to stall and ends up pulling up the point. They throw the Graviton Surge. There is no ultimate to bind onto it. They're just barely able to touch, but eventually the Wrecking Ball is also going to be found out, so there's just not much you can do as we see Lotus being able to clear the first point of Oasis.
I mean, this was some weird
Score.
I mean, we saw like the Moira from the side of Lotus in the brawl. Normally you'll see a Baptiste, but they opted to go for the Moira. Not really sure why, honestly. The Moira is kind of just worse in a lot of situations. For Riptide, they ran this kind of like Lucio Mercy backline, which I don't think I've seen since 2016. Or that's a bit harsh. They ran it in 2018, but that's when Mercy had like you could res like 6 people in like the span of 10 seconds. Kind of wild, but yeah. And then they tried to run this like ball
Capture the objective.
Zarya, now they're running a Bastion with the baller Rissa.
You underestimate them, Howard. You underestimate their confidence moving forward.
I mean, Bastion, like, she is, according to their sheet, a Bastion player. But, okay, never mind.
And look, she is absolutely crushing it. Being able to take out clockwise and move forward. It just seems the dive doesn't know what to do. They weren't fully expecting it or didn't call it out. As the rotations perfectly work and the Bastion's able to kind of play around. Able to heal and feel fine. The last person on the point is able to going back into that match. They feel good. And look at this. They're not sitting in one spot. They are rotating. That's how you play it.
Barrier activated.
Yeah, nicely done there from Riptide to kind of make this unconventional comp work. Lotus played a lot more aggressive than they should have, if they knew there was this Bastion. But they probably did not, so they played a bit more aggressive than they were legally able to. So you swap over to the Fair now for clockwise, going to try to just poke at this Bastion, and there's the dive comes through, and you can see a kind of already an adaptation phase.
As we see them already moving in, they're able to pump in a good amount of damage, and using that Pharah to using the Pharah to try to shut down the Bastion. It's just not working in their favor, as they're immediately taking out the Pharah Mercy duel. They do get hit with the anti. This is a big issue for Bastion. However, they're just gonna LOS. They're gonna wait, then sit back inside their spot. They lose their Wrecking Ball, and it's not an issue when you have a literal tank sitting there shooting things out of a Gauss cannon, basically. The rest of the side of Lotus are going to be struggling to try to figure out how to play against it, because Skirt immediately dies when this fight was already ending.
Yeah, definitely. Lotus are not really being able to break into this Bastion, which is a very weird thing to say, because it's not like a hard Bastion bunker. Orisa ball comps or comps that already don't get switch playtime, and we're going to see a tank configuration take down the Pharah.
Yeah, look at this. Already that damage is going to be able to kind of pop out. They take out the Bastion, that bomb stuck behind the shield and into mortality. They are going to be placing this over the Orisa. Able to hit too! Fantastic. Guaranteed basically stable to fight Korean. Once again showing off the skills of a DPS player, while the rest of their team being able to play this fight slowly. Even if that Wrecking Ball can solve for a little, it's not much.
Yeah, the Pulse Bomb was on its own, it was a good stick. Then on top of that, you had the Primal Rage, which just pushed the Orisa, who was stuck with the Pulse Bomb directly into the Baptiste, who just blown up, taken down, fight, win there for Lotus. Keeping themselves alive here on this point. 93% though for Riptide, and they have 3 ults to work with. But the opposition, you have to stand overall.
Now they're rocking out with it. They are able to kind of try to use it to their finest, but the Bastion is just way too strong. Look how they immediately shred the entirety of Lotus. I've got to say, I've never seen a Bastion composition work this well when that barrage was so perfectly set up, and there was really no hero to try to eat that up. There's no Sigma, there's no Diva, and it seems that Riptide they're gonna bring it into their own way to be able to force this into the last point.
I can't
Score.
if you just showed me a picture of the comps both sides won, I pick Lotus 10 times out of 10. like that is absurd. For starters, I personally am not I've never been a big fan of this ball comp, because the Orisa's job is to just sit there and die and hope somebody dies before the Orisa does. And Bastion, I mean, we're not in Overwatch 2 yet. It's still perfectly stationary, and it can just get super exposed without kind of a hard bunker around it, but they managed to make it work, and they're going to roll out again here on our final point of what I believe is just forgot the name. I think it's Credence.
Take your time. You'll think about it. Yes, it is Gardens, though. It seems that they are running back onto the Wrecking Ball composition, being able to kind of split around and not really take on that high ground. Lotus, though, that's where they want to play. That's where they're feeling the most comfortable, but unfortunately enough, they now have to try to jump onto the enemy team. So that's really going to hurt you, because that Bastion is perfectly set up and is feeling fine. Though they do take this rotation, it is an immense amount of poke. That's why the Mei wall is beautiful, and that boot pushes them forward towards the Bastion. Don't know what you're working out with that, but hey, I've seen weirder. They do manage to find out Korean, and the Wrecking Ball spinning to winning all over the point, while the rest of Riptide are slowly able to melt them down. The Bastion composition, my goodness, in this day and age, still working?
A Bastion comp And this time of day, this time of year, in this part of the country, localized entirely within Riptide's comp, I mean, this
For your
is
safety,
absurd.
please move behind the barrier.
I don't believe that this is working. I think it's more of Lotus or just like they seem shocked. They seem unlike normally. Okay, every team knows how to deal with a Bastion, but I don't think any team knows how to deal with a Bastion when you're just being like forced to fight the Bastion because a Wrecking Ball keeps booping you.
Yeah, more teams are more focused on the Bastion when they are bunkered down rather than when they are just sitting in place and ready to rotate. Already, they have found out clockwise not going to be able to do much, and the Bastion is perfectly rotating around. They watch Bastion game. I gotta fully say that colorblind in our game, as they're able to take out Asho and immediately try to focus on the far end. What is that melt? It's there. The rest of the team on the side of Lotus want to be able to try to move forward. They managed to find out Bid, but it's just not enough. D.Va even tries to put pressure onto the Bastion, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, it is somehow not the case. Tank configuration. Last time she popped this out, managed to take down the Pharah somehow. Not sure how that happened, but let's see if she could get some good value once again. EMP is still only 50%, so you're gonna have to wait probably. I mean, they're gonna have to win this fight without an EMP if they want to stay alive here.
I definitely agree to that, but the thing you want to worry about is this Bastion is just shooting you directly in the face. You lose Chewy. The one person that you shouldn't lose, you've just lost. On the right side, you do take out the Wrecking Ball, the counterplay, the Wrecking Ball is going to be able to come back fast. That's just how it works. Arch is trying to do their best to put in that poke, but now we're going to be walking into the overtime scenario. As they're being stuck playing on the high ground, the Bastion has perfectly peeled, even gets the Bongo. Just look how they immediately demet the D.Va, and now the Bastion is just sitting perfectly fine. Vid does have this pulse bomb ready to set up and ready to throw down until that sound barrier manages to peel in, so they don't even take any damage anymore. They're feeling fine. Johnny Cruz is celebrating their victory, and that EMP is just not going to come out fast enough, as Korean is going to be taken out, and we are going to be seeing Riptide bring it back and yet take the lead when it comes to Oasis.
Sure. I mean, Intel, I feel like, I don't know what I feel. Riptide won a map plane, Riptide fall with the Bastion. And they 100-0'd one of the points.
Listen.
And the other one was like 100-30.
Listen. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? You gonna cry? You gonna pee your pants, Joe Racer?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to cry.
Take down the pantry. The Bastion needs to be set up right
man.
now. Listen. It works. Okay?
Sure.
Do you understand that?
I'm understanding.
Now, yes, Riptide are 4-2, and I think this is one of the reasons why. If they
but they didn't start on this comp. The first map, they didn't run this comp, and they kind of. I mean, it was decently close.
She was wanting to understand your weaknesses. They were trying to figure out everything that was wrong with you, and it works because unconventional compositions are the most viable compositions in Overwatch. Rather than sticking to a meta, playing a composition that a team doesn't understand kind of fundamentally how it works, you can easily roll with that, just as we saw.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried though, because Lotus are definitely a pretty good team. I'm slightly concerned that as the series goes on, the comp will become less and less effective, and you may start to see them adapt as we progress through the series. But in an ideal world, you see them continue to just adapt with what Lotus is adapting. So hopefully they're not a one trick here, but yeah.
No. I'm hoping they are a one trick. All right.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of this Bastion and just the entirety of Riptide right now, because our next map is going to King's Row. And if you think that could stop a Bastion strategy, you are wrong.
Yeah. Bastion has some play with this weird AC-130 thing where you kind of TP on top of the statue and then got the Sigma shield, and then the Bastion dies immediately because everybody knows it's a thing. But yeah. I'm definitely curious though to see if they keep running the Bastion. I kind of feel like they will because they found great success with it, and how they keep running. Intel, you're a smart guy. You're very smart. How do
to
you
believe so.
feel about them? Do you think they're going to continue to run this Bastion here on KR? And if so, do you think they're going to keep running this kind of Orisa ball?
I as much as I want to say yes, they 100% will because I believe in them. The issue is that they don't have the opportunity to. Kings Row's a very long map, and you can't run the same strategy again and again and again because teams are going to adapt. You're going to figure it out. So if I'm Riptide, you run it on attack, maybe you run it on defense. But you have to switch it up every once in a while. You don't stick on it to forever. But either way, they 100% are starting out on the Bastion.
All
Prove me
right.
wrong.
Intel has never been wrong in his life. Everything he's
Um,
always said has come true. So
Very
we
true.
will 100% Sebastian on that to start this off. But I am definitely excited to see. KR is a map like I will admit it's kind of tiring seeing KR every single like in almost every series, but I mean, well, very few KR maps end up being bad. So I'm definitely fairly excited.
Uh, Listen, I've seen some very bad Kings Row maps. All right, you cannot contest me otherwise. Because Kings Row is played so often that we get so much of the same thing, a brawl v brawl. And yes, we have our playmakers, the Reinhardts, the DPSs, the supports who can hit those fat antes. Because sometimes you run out with an Ana. But I'm more excited to see what Riptide want to try and run. Because listen.
I'm listening.
I love the fact that they're a team that ran an unconventional composition because I don't know what they do now. They are so unpredictable. I always felt like I knew their name, and maybe it was in a dream, maybe it was in another reality where I was a Riptide fan because I still am. You understand
Okay,
that?
I understand that, Intel.
Good.
Username underscore Intel. Gotcha.
Yes. All right. And that's just what you need to deal with when it comes to this fight because it's going to matter the most. You can try and, like, what are you going to do against Sebastian? You can try and Maywall them off. All right. You can try and flash them. Oh, we've got our Orisa hard shielding. Perfectly fine. Okay. What are you going to do against it?
Dude, they should give Orisa alt fire, which where she just like okay, so you know how I guess technically her alt fire is her halt? What if her alt fire was like she shot like a bunch of shots out at once? It was like a shotgun.
Ooh, that would actually be really
Get rid of
interesting. Yeah.
halt, because halt's kind of the most it's a broken ability, right? It's
Okay. But it's
it
not
is. It
broken.
is. No,
No,
dude, it has like a
Baptiste
3-second cooldown.
immortality exists, and you're gonna tell me
Yeah, I hate
Holt.
Immo. I hate Baptiste as a
You're
character.
gonna tell me Holt is more OP than
I never said
immortality?
that. I never
No, you're
said
saying it's one
that.
of the most OP things in the game.
I never
Immortality
said
and
that.
Res are by far. Holt is so underutilized. It's so
I,
weak. It's weak. Listen here, eyebrow man. All right, I'm gonna tell you this straight up.
eyebrow man.
You can't get value on Orisa if your team is horse doo-doo. What are you gonna do? Halt the air and a Sigma throws a rock nowhere? Where are you gonna focus fire? That's like saying Sleep Dart is the most powerful ability in the support lineup. You're going crazy and you're going wrong. Do you
I
understand
never
that?
said any of this.
Listen, all
I'm
right?
being framed.
You're putting words in my mouth. Okay? I
You're
just
putting
wanted to
words in my mouth.
listen, all right?
I,
You're the
I,
man who
I'm,
has to cast in a pantry full of corn in a can. All
yes,
right?
there is corn in the pantry.
Yeah, you got macaroni. I can see everything that's going on in your
Yes,
background.
I got
So when it
macaroni.
Yeah, if Holt was used on King's Row, it's good because a team doesn't know how to play against it. It is a good ability. It is not overpowered. Blizzard, don't listen to them. Don't listen to this crazy man. Don't ruin Orisa more than you already somewhat have.
Okay, Orisa, dude, the ability to like suck everybody in. D- Do you not see how it's super good? Before Immortality Field was in the game, I mean, there was very little to counter it because the Diva hitbox is a lot better now. But when you tried to eat it with Defense Matrix, a lot of the time the Defense Matrix would just miss, even when it looked like it hit, right? And so and that was really the only way to stop Halt. And there's just so many abilities that combo with Halt Holt has like a ridiculously long pull distance, which is it's very funny how long the pull distance. And then like the final thing is like it just the cooldown's not very long, right? It has a pretty short cooldown.
Fair enough in that
Okay,
idea.
that's my argument.
Alright.
You just called me mentally deranged and said I said it was the most overpowered
Hey,
ability in
I would
Overwatch.
never insult people who are mentally deranged by calling you one of them, okay? I'm gonna just be straight up. Alright, I've been in a mental facility. They are great people, okay?
I'm being harassed.
Yeah, aggressively.
Ugh.
Either way, look at how this is possibly walking out the what in
No,
the
no, it's
world?
just for a pick. They're like, but when you see that Mercy there, you know they're gonna go for a Pharah. Um, on the defense though, I am a big fan of this comp. The Symmetra is not kind of what you see a lot of the times, and so normally I'd be a big fan of it, but with this Pharah, you're probably gonna have regret not having Mr. Cole Cassidy.
I think it's more of a confusing thing as they have a TP as well as they are already rotating through the hotel. We see the side of Riptide playing on to this point. Ral, Lotus are trying to do anything to save themselves, even use that immortality. But it has more than enough room to find two. Walk in, look for the Baptiste, look for the Reinhardt who are basically living on the edge. And that barrage is built in one fight. The tick barely started. That was 1 minute, and already Riptide have concealed the entirety of this point.
That's a forte for Fid there, by the way. You saw a lot of poke come through at the very beginning from Fid, and then as well as the Wrecking Ball putting a lot of pressure on them. Immortality was forced to be really early into that fight. And due to Immortality being forced, you're just able to see the American team find like usage, and they were like in the back part of second point using the barrage.
Reminds me of my ex-wife. They are aggressively going in, just trying to stop them from being able to do anything. You don't need to understand the plot line of my themes. You just need to understand the story. Because
You're not that old, are you?
Listen, you don't need to worry about it. Clockwise moves over to this. I have many things, okay? And restraining order on you will be one if you continue this conversation. Because we see Clockwise move over to the Sombra, wanting to maybe try to hack, but it takes out Korean just with the splash damage alone. They go to the brig, maybe they want to try and shield against it. Luckily though, they do find out the Bastion, but the issue is the Bastion was a distraction because it looks as far as the one that's going to be able to take them out. You don't even get that teleporter anymore. The Sombra is now split from the team, and Riptide is continuously moving the payload. Sure, the Monkey is trying to do as much as they can, but look how low Skirt is, and then eventually how much Skirt falls down. This point is basically free, and it's somewhat of a pseudo snowball.
Got you.
Yeah, a bit of a silly little snowball here for about 5.5 minutes. They're gonna have the tank configuration, the nano boost, and Dewey just killed. They've been on break for a bit now, with 30% to a rally because they just not allowed to survive.
Yeah, and it's going to be an increasing issue because the Bastion's walking out in Sentry mode, using it while it lasts as an Overwatch 1, while Todd is kind of just using it. I'm guessing this is more for zoning. It seems that they want to try and kill the brig, but the shield is just barely enough. Though the barrage manages to find out the Ana, and that bomb wants to split them up. They rather put the Bastion in the strategy to where they can immediately melt the windscreen and move forward. There is just not much to the side of Lotus to try to counter this out. They really don't know what to do against it. They even get Korean found out. The D.Va's now moving on to the gets that nano, does have the survivability, the anti managing to hit both of the tanks is looking very nice. Bastion isn't set up to be able to try to take out the Winston as they are just perfectly playing around this payload. Seconds on high ground, the D.Va going up, wanting to put that pressure onto Bastion a little bit before, but it seems that just barely going to be able to escape, push that payload and cap with 4 minutes and 29 seconds. How does this happen with this comp?
What's the record? What's the King's Row record?
0 to 3. Switching sides.
Don't ask me, man.
I'm typing away.
Initiating match.
Listen. This
This is absurd, though.
Listen, what I need more of an understanding of kind of in a smaller sense of what's going on, because I feel Riptide, their composition doesn't feel strong, but something about what they're doing, or maybe the fact that Lotus don't understand what's going on is shutting them down.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, this is legitimately absurd.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Listen, you're in shock, right? You've lost it.
I am I mean, I'm like also struggling to talk because I'm like typing away furiously trying to find out this record.
I don't know. You know, I can figure out, we can figure it out in 2019 for all I care, because things are.
Wait, what?
Joe, you're absolutely going
5,
bonkers.
4,
There was no time. There is nothing left in this world besides from Bastion. And now we see Lotus running out on Sigma Roadhog. You know, unconventional means unconventional. They are somewhat of a poke in the hot.
This isn't a super unconventional comp. Like, I mean, it is because it's running hogs, but when you, in terms of hog comp, this is kind of the default hog comp, right? And I think this may actually work here against this, because you can, if you manage to get a hook onto like the Pharah or the Mercy, that's massive. Or maybe even managing to find out the Bastion with the help of your Discord orb. I mean, you could definitely run out that Bastion quite quickly.
Yeah, but the issue is that when he comes down here, they have to walk into the Bastion. Della West,
There it is.
Clockwise is able to take them out. Now with no fear of anyone trying to take them, and Korean being able to play this Widowmaker with 3 angles, look at how they're just able to hit these headshots, take them out, and pretty much clean up the rest of the fight. Now the entirety of Riptide, well, they're going to have to come up with a plan B if they want to try to slow this down.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really fast first point capture. Took just about over a minute here for them to do so. They built up a lot of looks as well. Riptide didn't really get too much of anything. We're just gonna stop over the Wrecking Ball. No more Diva for the side of Riptide. Kind of back to what they were running a bit, and Fit is caught out being a bit too aggro. And there's a very aggressive Dragon from Clockwise.
They tossed them out, and now it seems like they just kind of have to try and retreat. The Bastion isn't even able to set up, and I think that's exactly what you want to be able to do.
Yeah, definitely. As long as you can die the Bastion set up, you're in a really good spot. And there's the hook onto the Bastion, but the Hulk from Nova. Hulk's bad, by the way, according to himself. And then he just set up a 2-jet.
They're able to slam down, looking to put in that damage. The Transcendence is there, though curiously used when you're kind of not able to really push into the fight. It's more of just a defensive thing. We even see Ta running back in, hitting that slam onto Chewie, and then immediately backing up, just wanting to put in that poke and kind of move around. They're more relying on building up ultimates, but Bastion is dangerously low, being able to fight out Clockwork, and is fighting out the Widow, though it does seem they're able to escape. Now they're using their tank, and they're gonna drop down. Don't do that to the Widowmaker, and then you get a hit onto the Sigma. You can't do that. That's illegal.
Bro.
My goodness, we give some props to Bastion more in the chat, gamers, because she, right now, has been one of the best intermediate Bastions I've ever seen.
Dude, this is... Oh my... This game is making me go crazy until...
Listen. I don't understand truly how to define how cool that was. That's montage. Right?
That is absurd. I casted a tournament with Bastion made in it one time, and it was the this reminds me of it. It's just Bastion doing dumb stuff and winning, but Clockwise trying to get into this map, does manage to take down Bid. And so Lotus are only they're not out of the series quite yet. And they're making that known.
Yeah, look at this. They already find out Ta and Fid was picked up a little earlier, but Clockwise now patiently waiting, finds out Ana. Now is trying to fight the rest of the baseline. Is eventually going to be picked off because of the there. And the rally's going to give them a bit more sustain, so the Hog missing out on that hook in the split onto the Sigma. This is not looking good for Lotus. They really want to work more as a team, be able to throw the whole Hog, make some of the space. The Transcendence manages to save them. The window, well, those window things, Bastion's going to be gone. The mines are placed down inside them, and the Chewie just walks right into it. There's just nothing that Lotus can do as they slowly try to walk into the enemy's LOS.
Yeah, Riptide have been playing this comp super well. I mean, like, look at the comp. This is a weird comp that probably most people would expect not to work. It probably shouldn't be, but it's just so weird. And Riptide look like they've been scrumming this comp like 8 hours a day. They seem very well versed in it, and they have a great idea of what they want to do. And Lotus, I mean, they need to try to make some bigger adaptations. I don't know what adaptations there should be, honestly.
Well, play better. That's the adaptation that my coach would always tell me, as we always see them getting stuff. Yep, that's what my coach used to tell me. We're now rocking double shield kind of counterplay, although you're at a major disadvantage because it's Hanzo and Bastion versus Hanzo and Widowmaker. You are able to put pressure onto the Wrecking Ball, at least that's on the benefit side, but the Orisa is just barely able to escape. The Gravitic Flux catches out the Brig. They're almost able to pick him up, but not being able to get that follow-up. Astro, Chewy, Korean, they are just eventually picked off, and Bastion is flanking right now, playing these angles so beautifully.
Yeah, that fight was really relying on that Gravitic Flux finding good value and only hit the Brick. I know I said good Flux, but I more meant that in the case of Skirt Memes would have probably died if that Flux was not there. And so he was able to survive that out, and now they will move forward here. There's the tank configuration for Bastion, and you can see Lotus just tuck and hide.
Now we see them moving, and they are rocking with like less than a minute, and they lose Astro and Chewy so early. This hurts. They're more worried about kind of paying attention. It seems that the composition that is reliant on being able to take angles and poke is not being able to do its job.
Yeah, definitely. This is a funny game of Overwatch we are witnessing. Korea's going to switch over onto the Sombra and is trying to do a bit of backcapping, and it does force the positioning of Riptide, because they did manage to get a pick there and a nice sleep dart. You're going to be able to headshot him with the bid.
Flat side territory, and look on the bright side. Your Sombra's been caught out. That's not a bright side. You're not going to be crying.
Oh!
This Korean has to retreat. Able to get that head. And Clockwise gets out the Bastion. That's absolutely beautiful. The rally is trying to sustain them. Korean is just barely going to be able to escape and survive. Now with the window being there, they're pumping in that extra damage just to be able to be fine. The Nano goes onto the Wrecking Ball as they slam down. But right now, Lotus have to use everything in their back pockets to try to win this. But the Transcendence doesn't save their DPSs. Now the tank's trying to do their best just to stay alive. Chu's going to be poked out and finished off, while the rest of their team is sort of being poked. Nobody on the side. Riptide eventually goes down until Nova gets picked with the Wrecking Ball hunt, so they're able to get that value. And I can't believe it. Second in a row. May have not been a full hold, but Riptide wins out King's Row.
Intel.
Play of the game.
Intel. Are we gonna see another over? Because the last series, is so close to the first two rounds. Here, I honestly feel like Riptide they just are built different. Lotus just seems to not really know how to respond to this kind of weird, I guess, I'm gonna say weird comp. This is a weird comp that Riptide are pulling out.
Listen, if I'm honest with you, I just don't know how you play against us. In what sense do you sit there and confidently say, yeah, I've got this, I know how to beat off the I know how to beat the Bastion composition. Not what I just said, that was nasty. They just couldn't do anything. They just perished. And honestly, as much as I would like to see a reverse sweep, I think the possibilities of it do not increase, solely because Lotus have yet to shown the ability to adapt against this Bastion. And that's going to be the issue here.
Yeah, definitely. This Bastion pain for them to try to around. And honestly, Intel, I think we maybe need to break.
With no stats or anything, I guess you are right. So make sure you stay tuned in, because we're going to go to a quick break. Riptide, will they finish this off with a Bastion composition, or will Lotus bring it back? Either way, stay tuned to find out.
I know the story of your life through winter storms and summer skies. There was a time when you were young and free. So let's go back to the beaches where I always make you laugh, to the There you go again, looking so handsome. Oh, you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your stardust, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind. You and your magic, like infinite power. God knows I try to resist, but you're pulling me closer. Oh, I gotta stay away, but you won't let me. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it
My goodness, Mr. Joe Razor. We are back here live with Riptide versus Lotus. Right now in the lead for Lotus. And we've been hit with some shocking news. Viewer discretion is advised because the next map we're going on to is 100% Junkertown. And this map, we're going to be sitting here debating it for the entire night. How and why do Lotus pick a map that is infamous for a Bastion composition?
Yeah. This is definitely a questionable decision, map selection here. We talked about a bit during the break though, or I personally think it's not dreadful because a lot of Bastion notoriety on this map comes from playing a lot of pirate ship comps with, like Shield with Bat Mercy, but they tend to run these kind of wrecking ball like with the Bastion. So the Bastion plays more kind of like a soldier, honestly, right? He kind of sets up on high grounds, does a bunch of damage, then goes to a different high ground, and less of like a stationary Bastion like is played in every other comp.
Yep, I gotta say, we're looking at something possibly interesting. Is this gonna be Lotus's time to say we're done being bullied out by the Bastion composition? Or will Riptide just say LOL no and just completely destroy? I think this is very much dependent on how they try to play against it. But me and you, we've had an opportunity to be able to kind of understand how their composition works. What do you think Lotus would need to do to be able to break it?
Let me unlock my inner analyst. I think they just have to play better. They have to play better as a team. They have to make like quick decisions as a team. I feel like they're giving too much time to the Bastion comp to get killed and like get set up and do what it wants to do. You have to play a high tempo comp here if you're Lotus. You have to set the pace of the match and stop letting the Bastion set the pace. Because that's what I feel is really killing them, is that they're letting this Wrecking Ball Bastion just disrupt anything they plan on doing.
Yeah, and I guess we'll just have to see what lies
Ready
inside their
for
pockets. The Riptide actually possibly not even wanting to run out on a composition that we expected. I'm more interested in how Lotus want to try and defend. They're on the defending side, but they don't choose to run out with the Baptiste. They are on
Attackers
Zen
incoming
Mercy.
in 30 seconds.
Yep. It's Mercy. come here.
Yeah.
Then
So
died. Ooh.
how does this work? Because I've seen, I don't know,
feel
I've seen
like
this
there's
composition
such-
work.
Okay. So the goal is you discord something and then it dies if you right.
5,
The Mercy is
4,
probably gonna pocket
3,
a Hanzo most of the
2,
time, but
1.
I feel like this is.
Attackers
I feel like they
incoming.
lack. I feel like a Baptiste here kind
Stop the
of would have been the
payload.
better alternative.
Honestly, I definitely agree. They're gonna have an issue because this Bastion composition is walking out, and they have a Sombra. They're fully
No, they're
expecting.
gonna swap. The Sombra was just looking out. You can see the people kind of saying Sombra ran out there. Scout is gonna get an idea of what they're running. And then they get goodbye on the Widow, and there it is.
Already taking out that Discord. Now you've lost that value. He has to use that red just to be able to bring Astro back. That's a big resource gone that you really want to be saving for your tanks as they're backing up, getting hit with the shield. And my goodness, Bastion is just playing these angles so perfectly and letting Fid be able to play different sight lines that they're being able to find these targets out. Snail gonna be kicked off. Now with the headshot onto the Sigma, they immediately melt down Skirt. Seems that the Sigma really got the thing to be able to stand as Bastion is able to start melting them down, and they continue to push forward with no real worries in their mind.
Yeah, they commit Immortality Field really late there, so if we see an engage like within the next like 15 seconds, that may be a bit of a worry, but I mean, Fid is going to town here on this Widow. Once again, kills Astro, forces out the res, looking to kill Astro.
I think this would be more impressive if Fid just decided to basically play like a Bastion and just get 6 games consistently. Fid's doing their job absolutely beautiful, but the issue is now Korean is able to take out Bastion, meaning that they don't have that there. Fid needs to be able to take control of this point if they want to be able to continue to push forward. Though the Sigma does manage to take a considerable amount of damage, it still doesn't really matter that much as they're basically able to peel back and they feel fine. Though Snail takes a lot of damage and the Grid Plus is built up, they've lost Korean, they have Size, the Widowmaker only being stopped by that shield. They're now pumping it out, being able to try to pick up the opponent, letting them down. The Immortality barely saves them, wanting to pick out the Sigma, but it seems that they take out the Baptiste rather instead. The Dragons are now there if they choose to use it, but honestly, looking at this, there's just not much you can do, as they're just barely being able to escape and hide. Snail wants to try and escape, but the rest of the side of Lotus are going inside the backline, finishing off the people who aren't getting any heal or shielding, and they basically secure this fight.
Yep, definitely. Really good fight there from Lotus. They got kind of rolled on that first point, but managed to recover. And look how the tank they built into. They're going to see Fid switch over onto Genji now. And we're also going to see a swap on Lucio. So a bit of a different comp here for Riptide. But
Well,
so many ultimates now for Lotus. Everything except that.
yep, now they're moving forward. We see the counter plus popping out. Though the Transcendence keeps them perfectly fine and alive, the high news to be able to take out that Baptiste before that window can really get as much from Korean. Now, feeling great does eventually get poked, and the Bastion's kind of being poked off by the Sigma, who's doing an amazing job of taking these angles. They are still feeling fine. Riptide can kind of rotate around, but it seems that they want to be more reliant on using that Wrecking Ball to boot them around.
Yeah, Snail, she gets a kill there on Fid to kind of close that out. It was a good ult to take down Korean, which gives him a 5v6 for a little bit, but you're going to imagine that gap. There is the ultimate.
Heroes never die.
Look at this. They're already being hit with a considerable amount of damage. Though, we see the turret, well, not the turret, rather, the Bastion being able to go inside the tank, like, be able to start pumping damage out, breaking the shield. Now, Skirt, they're relying on the Bongo to be able to pump it in, and the fact that they are going through this small corridor starts melting them down, and I'm glad to see this change. Though Skirt ends up losing their life, they no longer have the res. It's going to be a further issue, though it does seem the Sigma still one who's going to be the popping off consistently, being able to find the majority of the side of Riptide, while Bastion is going to be able to freely escape. Riptide kind of, you know,
Yeah, I mean, Snail is trying to get them, and it still does so much damage there, and it sets up his teammate in history there to manage to get the pick. Very nicely done there. They managed to get those two very late daggers. Next fight that we're catching will have his Rabbinic Clark. Definitely get a lot of value. You have the Immortality Field prevent a lot of damage from that, but if they can force them out early, they'll be looking at a golden.
Barrier's about to break.
definitely see that, though they've lost Nova almost instantly as they try to move in, and it's getting more of an issue. It seems like they're having trouble being able to set up and figure out what to do, especially with the fact that Arch has the Davidic Flux. This means that they can kind of set it up. That's why they switch over to this dive. A little bit more worried, maybe wanting to play a bit more aggressively.
Yeah, definitely. They'll switch over to sticking on the Bastion though, they can't fuck off of it. A lot of ults though for loading in, but definitely have some good range. There's a good opening on the snake.
Yep, that's an amazing pick. Getting rid of that damage. Now the blade is set. Combined with the dive. I can get that stun, the transfer. Gonna make that feel so lackluster. Now with the high hit. Oh no, man! Walks directly into the bullets. Managing to save his life, but at what cost? Now the match is really set up, and Riptide are gonna be able to move forward. But that was incredibly embarrassing. Yet that somehow saved the fight.
Yeah, I don't know if it saved the fight, because, I mean, you would have seen the D-Mech onto the D-Mech. Guess what? Trevor, they got D-Mech anyways. So, I don't know what's the most heroic play of this is quite silly. Configuration tank, though, is available. Not quite an artillery strike, but can definitely be quite as lethal. And then they also have a window on my forest side of the
Seems that they are going to be able to move forward and find what works as the Bastion eventually gets taken out while in their ultimate. Finn is able to kind of retreat back in, manage to find out Korean Nova though, trying to just panic, wanting to know where to go. Finn is just walking to the back line. Nice reds though, gotta say, putting this back inside their favor. Pulls out the Glock, but it's just not enough to snare the one who's doing the damage. The rest of the side of Riptide really just want to move this point. They're trying to escape this bomb, just barely. Most of them do, but not Chewy and Skirt as they eventually go down. And now, without that monkey, you don't really see too much of them being able to push in because Bastion has no more shielding or really someone to kind of protect. So you see them pushing this payload kind of in a slow sense, but it's the fact that they're pumping in this damage is the reason why they're moving forward. Nobody Arissa returns as the Bongo and the Dragons on their side. They may feel a little more confident, but it's a minute to try to touch this point. Already returning back and continuing this fight. Bongo gets placed the bubble, trying to block off that LOS. Definitely beautiful range. The breaking using that primal, trying to focus onto Astro. It seems that this blade is more focused on trying to pick them off. The Nordic Flux managed to catch up. Genji already had half health, just barely being able to catch out. My goodness, I didn't even notice that. I thought, but I was going crazy. But the only people alive are going to be the Baptiste and the Sigma, though the advantage is on the side of Riptide. And it seems that with the Bastion setup, they feel confident enough to cap with 36 seconds. What a way to bring it back.
Yeah. Okay. Note to everybody, last series we saw Cap with a fairly low amount of time, and then the team that just finished attacking, well, they full held on their defense. So, wonder if we're gonna see a repeat there. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, as the chat keeps calling them, Driptide are trying to get closer and closer, inching forward to this victory here. 36 seconds, like you mentioned, is their time bank. So it's not the greatest on Junkertown. Junkertown, you tend to see like a minute to 2 minutes is not uncommon in time banks, but it definitely is still good. Finishing any map is really great to see. But
Ready for battle.
honestly, Lotus Chris is gonna need to pull something out here. I feel like Riptide are still firmly in control of this map and control of the series here, and I'm not sure what Lotus are really going to be able to pull out that could provide an answer to what Riptide has been doing.
Yeah, I gotta say, they did a kind of nice job when it came to the second point, where on Streets phase, they were putting a lot of focus on to kind of rather the Bastion onto the team. We never saw that Bastion being able to set up because they were just taking those poke angles and it works, but it got harder the more that they kind of snowballed.
5, 4, 3.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Attackers
But
incoming.
here, we're seeing Bastion Genji once again, this time with the Arissa Eva. So slightly different tank line, and then the attack. It's going to be a hog speed with the Genji of their own, as well as capacity and a double flux support. This is kind of bringing on as that instead of the traditional back.
It looks like they were already wanting to prepare to take this fight. I do like the Roadhog as they're going to be able to kind of poke anyone out, or not really poke, but rather poke anyone out when that shield breaks. But the Bastion is being poked out by Korea and then finished off by Astro. Absolutely phenomenal. Now with the Baptiste going down the below, that dash reset was absolutely They're still able to kind of push forward as Riptide is struggling just to continue to sustain this point. They end up losing their mech. The damage is way too high. Now Nova being able to kind of retreat back has really just to rely on the few people that are there. But the damage is absolutely insane as we see the Bastion return being able to kind of push them, but they lose out Nova. So they have no more shield. They have to wait until Ty comes back just to be able to move forward and pump in that damage. But look at that, Bastion wanting to be able to take these fights is struggling to move forward. The res does come out, pulls back the Arista, taking this into the 66 clearly. And now with the Valkyrie there, it's going to be harder for them to kind of peek through this corner. The payload's not in a favorable position, and they take out Asher, who's coming up on the Transcendence. They're at a major disadvantage. Hold out, and the blade just to shut them down. Look at that, a whole thing able to slow them down.
Nothing.
Look, Nanoblade is always for the LOS, never for the kill.
I mean, this top, that Nanoblade is you expect a Nanoblade to probably get some kills here, right? I mean, that's your win con. You were setting up that win con for like almost 2 minutes, and they just weren't able to execute it. And that was a pretty long attack. I guess you could take sloppy play from both sides, honestly, but now coming into this next fight, you have to go really clutch. You have the ammo out to stop it.
It seems that they're more moving forward. Korean is being taken out, and they put good amount of damage onto the Wrecking Ball, meaning that they are at a major disadvantage. And look at that, Skirt able to take out Bastion, feeling that confidence moving forward as the Arista is now dangerous. Look at Mercy goes behind Manchester with the best out the Baptiste eventually go down, but it's done their job. And yet the team doesn't push forward with them. More scared to get the final team. Goes out, slams down, takes out the Mercy. But now there's Mine, and it has caught them in a snare. Sure, Snail is going to be able to take out the Wrecking Ball once they come back, but look at this. Bastion is now set up at such a far angle. What is Chewie's tiny shield going to do? Yo, look absolutely goofy as we just see the Sentry mode pop out, and they even use the jumps. They have the technique.
Technology here. Dude, we may be in 2021 for Bastion. He's living in 2022. I mean, honestly. Yeah, doing a lot of work here, making it look like it's Overwatch 2 bad with that type of movement. But yeah, Lotus, they do have some ults to work with here, but in this last fight, they're gonna need to. I think really have to look for Snail to come up with some big plays here if they want to chance. Or maybe even Asher. You just need some individual stuff up big here in this final fight.
It does have to go combined with the Valkyrie. That's basically a Nanoblade in a pocket. Though Bastion is having to rotate around, and the Roadhog is set up, going to be able to kind of find out fit and take these long sights. Though the res comes out and Asho is picked, they trade with the Wrecking Ball, so it's a fair temporary, situation. Though Snail uses that, dude, takes out the Mercy, and now we see the rest of Lotus finally finding some room to be able to push forward. They don't really need any ults, they just need Chewie to use that rally to inspire them to move forward.
Yeah, a small thing there from the hiding from Snail. You get to see he looked away to her right there, and that's to make sure the Genji was at a LOS. The Genji was actually deflecting when the noon was up, and that would have gotten, well, Snail killed. And he looks away from it to make sure that that's not happening. So, really nice heads-up play there from Snail. But Fid now will swap over onto a Hanzo, as we also see Trevor is going over on Chicken Mom.
I like this idea.
Yeah, I do as well.
Comes from that extra damage, though it does seem Korean is doing a good job of making that Bastion stay in a position that's unfavorable. Now they are wanting to kind of push this payload, and the rest of Lotus taking that quick rotation onto the left side. They want to play on this low ground and ignore flat out the double shield, and they're basically being able to push it for free with that sense. Though Chewie does almost go down to a headshot, it's going to be perfectly fine in the long run. But now this is where the true fight begins. Snail just unable to finish them off. The whole misses. See what I mean? Not overpowered, as the rest of the team is stuck playing on the low ground. And Waffle is trying to find anything. The rest, both teams are just struggling to really find anything out of it. They are in this immense poke phase, and it's not until Lotus is able to build up that Cryptic Flux they are going to feel confident to start moving in. And look at that pull in. Snail is going to be found out, but the fight is still not over. Look at them fighting inside the small corridor to where the Bastion has no room to be able to help out. And then already the Honda's able to well, they have to use the bottom of the percentage plus the blade's able to help out while the Government Plus is gonna slam down and find the majority of just the damage there. The final blows for a second half to intense as we just see Riptide not gonna be able to secure anything.
Yeah, I was really confused why Astro was like in the animated backline. Then he's like, oh, I pop main trans. Like, that's how I look when I play my in the backline with Transcendence. But does a good job to keep Korean who is playing the Genji alive. So, really good stuff there from them too. You do have a hiding from Snail as well as the whole. That's all they're gonna have. But I mean, if you're just gonna get opening picks like that, who really cares?
Yeah, I think we need to more worry about the Bastion, who's so angry for not being able to play in that entire shoes phase. Just finds 2 off the bat, slung down this fight. It's going to be a lot harder with this high ground being fully controlled by Riptide, and then now they can use the sentry mode. Looking out for that Zenyatta, almost able to take Astro out, just barely, and Astro's actually able to get a trade onto the counterpart, but they're still set up, feeling fine, able to escape, and able to feel free. It's more of the way that they truly want to try and take this fight with the Orisa onto the low ground and the rest of the team onto the high ground. It's more of kind of hit or miss type of moment, but look at that Nova already being hit immensely, dangerously low. They are going to be able to get that healing and just be able to survive, while the rally allows the Roadhog to get that armor, give some more sustainability, and Riptide don't have room to push. We do see the Hainu get in before anything, though the Bastion is found out on top of the high ground, has to drop onto the bottom. The rest of the team now has full control over the high ground, and yet Skirt's going to be found out. Finn gets a nasty flick onto Snail, and yet Korean manages to find out Nova, so it's kind of more of a fit. Ta is able to get shooting, which kind of put that more into their favor, and it is going into a 50%, 50 time bank, but yet they're still pushing in. Good Plus catching out the Transcendence, and just afterwards finishing off Astro and the Hanzo. Sigma not being able to do anything. That was a big ultimate, and they're confidently used that at possibly last second.
Yeah, the Transcendence from Astro was used just too early. So the Runic Punch was able to be committed without anything to stop it there. Gets a final blow and also brings 2 players extraordinarily low. And then an opening pick, Astro, taken out, just completely annihilated there.
Astro's been having an amazing performance throughout this game, but it is such a shame to be seeing him already being taken out. Now with the entirety of the side of Lotus pick, what looked to be a more promising fight is now scary as Bastion's able to down this high ground. Basically rotate what people like to call the fidget spinner and shut down this entire push. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth, but Riptide managing to pull off the Bastion strategy every time and win it out. We're going to be seeing them finish off Junkertown and end it off with a 3-0.
Of the game.
Wow! That was absolutely bonkers there from
Activating the
Riptide.
barrier.
A 3-0 for them there. I mean, saw a reverse sweep in the last set, and I'm like, maybe Lotus can pull it off. They're a pretty confident team. They play some good Overwatch. Nah.
No, listen,
Nope.
Joe, you don't understand how happy our producers are right now. They are sitting there and they are like, my goodness, we don't have to sit there and watch Bastion sitting down another round. Woo, baby!
Woo! Woo!
That's what I'm in for.
That's what
Either
I'm
way,
looking for. Woohoo!
absolutely, it was an
Yeah.
absolutely impressive performance that I've ever seen. I think Lotus, they definitely looked like a strong team, and they improved as it went on, but they needed a lot more time. I'm really hoping more into the future that they kind of learn how to adapt against these conventional competitions, because in playoffs, you never know who's running what.
Yeah, definitely. I know it's like the playoffs. It's kind of like, who knows who's gonna play who, honestly. But if this is a rematch we would get to see in playoffs, that'd make me very, very excited.
Uh, yeah, definitely have to agree. But honestly, we don't really have much when it comes to that. I think all of these 3 sets were truly a learning experience for one side, and then on another, some things that I'll never be able to unsee. Either way, I've got to admit, this is by far one of my favorite matches. But still, we have what, Sunday left for our
Yeah.
one of our final weeks of the regular season.
Cool. I believe it's Sunday, and then
Yep, and then it's right into playoffs. So
yeah, then we go into playoffs. So
I just want to say thank you everyone for watching. If you're interested with everything that's been happening within Elo Hell, you can hit that little heart. It'll make sure you follow, hit the bell. You'll stay notified, as well as you can
Listen to
follow the
intel.
Twitter, which gets what?
I said listen to intel.
Exactly. As well as you can follow the Elo Hell Twitter, which posts content and updates consistently, as well as Discord to stay in tune with the community. However, if you're interested in the casters right now, you can see our Twitters down below. We post our own things as well as promote Elo Hell, so you'll always be up to date. Either way, we want to thank you so much for staying tuned, and I guess we'll have to see you Sunday when it comes to Elo Hell.